CCSD health curriculum, or would this be a health curriculum that they decide? And I'm going to go ahead and stop there so that I don't try to go through all out of deference to our staff, and if they would like to go ahead and start with those.
Hi, I'm Lori Bauman, a coordinator with CCSD Health Services. Thank you for as far as behavioral health, as with primary care, it's just a simple depression survey. If things were found on that survey, the provider talks directly with the parent or guardian that is present during all services to decide what the next step is. They're not providing any behavioral mental health sent out to wherever the parent or trouble. And then your next cloud health education, that has to do with the education behind receiving, as an example, an immunization, as to what those side effects could background behind the school. So health education is what they're providing.
To the health specialist and like a tier 1 or low level depression assessment. That it's not something that every single pediatrician does. I work out of pediatricians, so I think that would be something that would be a little bit better spelled out, because if it's open to any kind of interpretation there at all, we would actually, like for instance, I can read and assess psychological evaluations to give the assessment. So I think that would need to be kind of clarified. Going down to the next paragraph here, we're looking at to provide, this agreement shall provide the provider to utilize the provider's clinical location excuse me, to provide services in addition to the use of designated district sites mutually agreed upon by the provider. Determined, would this be on basically, on a need basis? Would the SOTs be included in this? How would this be determined? I'm not clear, and I did read all 11 pages.
So the way that the school sites would be determined is the school would initiate it. So for example, if Centennial needs physicals, they would contact health services and say, we need some support getting physicals for kids. And health services could contact Hope Christian and they would provide mobile services at the school site to facilitate that. Same thing for vaccination. We've got Brookman Elementary and they have a bunch of kindergartners that show up without immunizations. We can reach out to them for the extra support, but the schools would contact our health services department directly for that action.
Okay, and since it is mobile, they would just be within their own environment, not on school, not within the school itself.
They are within the school itself after school hours with a parent or guardian.
Okay. Have quite a few, so I think I'm going to go ahead and defer to other trustees who would like to ask, and then I'll come back because I want to give everybody else a chance.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess I know you touched on it just recently. We touched on this during our briefing, was what does the parental consent look like?
The parental consent is a medical consent that has all been approved by CCSD Office of General Counsel.
I guess what I'm looking for is it just a form, or does the parent have to be physically there? What are the
For all services to be provided, a parent or guardian does have to be present, and they also fill out the consent form that is a written form.
Perfect. So parents have to be there at the time of the beginning of forms and during the time of service, and then as they leave. So parents are there at all times, and so they can step in or whatever it may be if something needed to happen with their child.
Absolutely. The parent or guardian is present at all times.
Thank you. And then I wanted to know, what is the cost to the district?
There is no cost to the district and no out-of-pocket cost to a district student.
Wow, that's really great, to not have a cost to the district and to be a service to the community. That's really awesome. And then so I know we did, mobile sites. What is their capacity? Can they do multiple? Is it one at a time?
Sorry. Mobile sites, it's one at a time.
And then, is there a criteria or anything for the schools to say, hey, we're seeing an influx of illness or colds or?
For the mobile sites, it would just be for sports, physical and or immunization. So not sick visits from that, yes. With their parents. Correct.
So it's for you. Thank you, Madam President. Do we have a block organization?
Do this time our community got trying for that. We obviously do have quite a few MOAs out in the district. So we are trying to up that information so that we have a better accounting of all of the MOAs that we have. And with that, we would then, be able to get a better number on it. The short answer is no, we're not sure of that at this time.
Another question I had, which was follow-ups to what my colleagues had shared. The kind of CCSD provides. So are these just used when needed, or this is a just this?
And is managed center.
Thank you. And another follow-up is campus. They're in the building, so they're not bringing in their mobile bus or anything that they have.
They bring in mobile equipment like vaccines or they bring in mobile equipment into the school site. So sports physicals would be in the school cafeteria or gym or wherever the principal has designated as a safe area for the staff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee BF, thank you for this service. I think it's unfortunate that we'd be providing, we would be hesitant about providing our student aid to our students for fear of exposing material, God forbid. I would think that we wouldn't hesitate and provide it without letting this be a problem. So thank you again for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for the additional answers to our colleagues that kind of are brought up about any other when we do get that information, Dr. Welsh, would we be able to also find out, unusual here, because this is 5 years, it's not something like for 1 year or 2 years to know with the renewable option to see how things are working out. So that would be something that I would want to know. And of course, our children need primary services, but we need to be careful that there's not going to be anything that is going to infringe on any of the rights of the parents of the children. Example, if we have even one parent or one child that comes forward and says that somebody within this, I think I'm not sure of this information, so I'll have to check on it. I don't know how many doctors this organization has. I did do a little bit of deep diving. So we would only need one parent or one child to come forward and object if there was something that was seen as going in a religious perspective. And we'd have a problem, a potential lawsuit. So even though we do have on here, the district is.
Excuse me, I just want to tell the audience, this is a business meeting, so I would appreciate your respect. Keep going, Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you. The MOA is very specific in stating we are not promoting and endorsing any particular church or religion, only providing standard medical services. But already we have two things that are kind of, could be better defined with the parameters, although I do appreciate the staff answers. One is an example on the sports physical. I just had 2 days of NIAA meetings. We have 200-page agendas, and one of the things on there is that we did have a change in the sports physical form. So that's something that we would have to make sure that is consistent with our school district protocols. This is a fairly complex MOA that I think that it's very well intentioned. It's free, and as my colleagues pointed out, also mobile, but we also do have to look at these other things. I have another question that has to do with that we cannot, from constituent, we are no longer allowed to even do a prayer at the beginning of our board meetings. When I first came on board, we had a benediction. We were very diverse from I think Dr. Welch, remember this, probably our superintendent. We were not allowed to even even though it's not a constituent. And the other thing is, I'd like to know, without anything confidential being revealed, how did this come to be on the agenda? In other words, who brought it forward? Because in looking into a little bit deeper dive on the board of directors for Hope Christian Health Center, we have a CCSD teacher who was a teacher in our district. We also have the daughter of somebody who is a friend of mine, MOX school. And so I'm looking at potential conflict of interest. I don't know.
Just think about so to those questions, I'll work my way backwards. But the MOA has been reviewed and approved by OGC in terms of form. So it is. I would point to your question regarding the relationship. I believe the vendor Hope Christian actually reached out to the district, and that's what got the conversation started in terms of moving, based on their site-based health center that they have. You're working further back there in terms of the length of the MOA, and they're purchasing. Generally, they're trying to standardize many of our MOAs to a common 5-year term. And I would point, it does allow for a 30-day notice of cancellation with written notice by either party.
Brought up, I don't know, something that you or superintendent want to weigh in on. Would it be a conflict of interest for a CCSD employee to be on the board to have other relationship with our other MOA with Gadsden schools?
John, excuse me, John Ozaki, General Counsel for the record. The ins analysis usually asks the question, what's receiving personal interest in it like this? Based on what you're relaying, I think it would be, I don't have an initial concern about it. I mean, we could look into it, but I don't think, certainly since there's no money having exchanged here, I'm not sure what benefit it is in the board of directors of the venue. Further into it, I have not done the analysis.
Thank you, Mr. Okazaki. Next question, when this MOA was constructed?
No, we were not aware.
I wasn't either, so to be fair. There are other concerns here, but I see, I think I see somebody else in the queue here. I feel that we need a little bit, a little bit clearer parameters. even something where we're talking about religious symbols, you know, they are basically signing and saying that they're a question from a constituent asking about immunizations. People who have a religious exemption, you know, they can opt out of having an exemption. This is a faith-based organization. We need an additional would not interfere with immunizations.
The religious exemption is a state issued form and the parent or guardian can fill that out and have nothing to do with going to receive that immunization.
That was a constituent question. I know there's other people in the queue. So at this time, allowing for the other people who have questions, I would like to make a motion or to just go with tabling or no action at this time and possibly bring this back to take this forward and get some of these questions answered, because I feel that there are numerous questions, and as Mr. Okazaki very well stated just a moment ago, hasn't looked into that, and I know that there is no monetary interest because they're free services, but do we have any other CCSD actively currently employed with the district that are on boards of MOAs?
Oh, I got that. Yeah, that's something that we would need to research for you. That's, yeah. I wouldn't have.
And yeah, and not putting you on the spot, but just trying to be as transparent as possible about what my concerns are. So that would be Dacian at this time. I'd like to hear anybody else would like to weigh in.
Thank you. I still have people in the queue, so I will wait for the motion. So I do have trustee Henry, and then I'm gonna go to trustee Esparza-Strophican, who's on the phone, and then go back to trustee Henry.
Thank you so much, Madam President. My question is more so around the insurances that they have to carry. I know that many small nonprofit organizations have been asked to carry a $10 million cybersecurity policy. What insurances do they have, and do they have access to our database?
To answer the second question, they do not have access to our database. The only information they receive is directly from the parent guardian, and it's collected from that parent guardian consent form.
I'll speak to the insurance. The risk management sets the free, and in here it's listed as $1 million per claim. So that risk management won't allow us to enter an MOA if they don't meet the minimum threshold.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you so much. Trustee Ramona Esparza-Strophican, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hello? Okay. Thank you, Madam President. I would like to ask, regarding, this is a 501(c)(3) according to the MOA. But my question is, although there's no cost to the district, those individuals that would be receiving the services from some of our other school clinics that we have within the district, that we have on MOAs with other nonprofits, they do it via Medicaid, Medicare, and that would require, personal information to be given to those that are providing the service. So I'll stop right there.
As part of the MOA in section 7.9, services will be provided to any district student at no out-of-pocket cost, except that the provider may seek third-party reimbursement from private insurance, Medicaid, and Nevada.
So then that does clarify that they could seek personal information in order to get Medicaid reimbursement, correct?
Yes, they seek that information through their parent guardian consent form, and if the parent provides an insurance card, they are allowed to bill third-party insurance.
Thank you for that clarification. My next question is because of the fact that we do have other agreements with other, service-based clinics at school sites, is there going to be, intentionality on making sure that there's no overlap of services and there's no competition between those that are already being served?
Services, medical services in the Las Vegas off. You are other health clinics. Yes, all of our school-based health centers through CCSD Health Strategy.
Oh, thank you. I'll read my questions, Madam President.
Thank you. Trustee Biassadi. Thank you, Madam President. We certainly don't want to, we are God big and discourage organizations that can aid our students from coming forward, because we really do need type of progress and our form, and will you be carrying that form with you?
I believe I can speak to that. So I think if a parent was seeking services at the clinic, I mean, we would provide whatever services are required or needed from those families. In terms of the exemption forms, I know that it's something like, we're working through those offices in information or resource.
Trustee Barron.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I know where Hope Christian has located their clinics. I mean, they're basically in places that are around. They're healthcare deserts. I've been there now at the start of several of these. Can you explain how Hope Christian, I guess, already has some places where I can go? Is that right? Do you already have sites picked out, or we're pending for those?
We're currently pending for that. We need an executed agreement, and they would need to go through the background check and everything else before services could begin.
Oh, that makes sense. Do you, will Hope Christian have, say, a priority list of where to make an on, sites?
Will be
That your insurance um they have pretty sure,
I can't speak to how they keep their medical records. Their medical records are completely separate from CCSD. CCSD is not sharing information with them. Information, medical records, or any information.
Okay, trustees.
So I'm hearing a lot of concern from my fellow trustees today. In my personal opinion, I thought it was great because we're not seeing any cost to the kids, cost to and it's a service that will benefit. So then what I'm wondering is we have other MOAs with health services like Hazel Way, same verbiage. Am I missing something here?
Yes, the MOA is very similar to our other school-based health centers like Nevada Health Centers and even
So the ones that we've already approved and are currently working with have the same verbiage as this.
Thank you, trustee Cavazos?
Thank you. Can I follow up on that? Trustee Stevens brought up a very valid point there. When we say it's the same verbiage, is it the same verbiage having to do with a faith-based organization or just the regular standard legal protocol? Is that what you're?
CCSD.
Okay, thank you. And only one last question, because I think that most of my questions that the staff is able to answer, legal is able to answer, have already gone in that direction. The other ones are not able to be answered. As our superintendent, our legal counsel pointed out, they would have to do more research. So on the where we state that the district does not endorse this product service. And I did talk to Dr. Welsh briefly about that this morning. How is this going to be monitored, or if there is an infraction of this agreement, what is going to happen then? How is that going to be enforced?
Thank you, trustee Cabasa. So again, if we saw the agreement can be terminated by either party with written notice at 30 days. So that would be something we could choose to execute if we found that there was something occurring that we did not want happening and then it was not in line with the MOI.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Welsh. And we have a protocol for that. Like, would that be something that a parent who is going to be there, as trustee Dominguez had asked, do we have a protocol for how that complaint or how that concern would be brought forward?
Trustee Cavazos, I would imagine that if we have any issues there, then the health services department to be able to address it.
Okay, so we don't have any actual like form, or the parent isn't told when they're signing up for this or anything. It's just the consent
Form for services as they would with any clinic, yes.
All right, thank you. I don't have any further questions, President Mr. Monte Adams. I would just offer that I think that this is very well intentioned. It could work. But I think that there are a lot of concerns and issues here that we could, instead of just like, doing away with it entirely, bring it back as soon as possible and get some of these questions answered that were not able to be answered tonight. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you. Vice President Zamora?
Thank you, Madam President. I just have two more questions, and I'm sorry. I know there's just some key things of the services that I think I'm concerned about. Are we able to, if we go the route of bringing this back, like kind of changing the language to limit more of the services that are like the immunizations? Yes, right. But there's other like the health, the behavioral health screenings for me. That's a little bit of a red flag. And I'd rather kind of pass that on to Hazel, right? If you need it, and we already have other ones to kind of refer to. So is there an opportunity to limit the services and kind of narrow it down?
Trustee Zamora, I mean, if that's the direction of the board, we would have to take it back and rework that MOA and obviously work it back through our processes internally to make sure that everything is still in alignment and vetted properly.
Okay. And my follow-up question about the consent for services. Are the parents able to choose the services? Like it tells them, or it's just in general with what's listed in the MOA?
The consent form is just listed all of the services. The parent could say no to any service. The parent guardian consent form is just like any medical consent form when you go to the doctor and they're providing services at any time you can say no.
I will be condition screening, but I have power to do that as a parent. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Trustee Esparza-Struffigan, did you have another question?
Yes, after the discussion, it just spurred some more questions. I think to Brenda Zamora's point, trustee Zamora, it would be helpful, which I did not even think to ask it in the briefing, that I signed So there was a reference, I think, trustee Stevens mentioned about it's kind of the same language. So could we have a side by side? Could we see several of our, I would love to see what providers we have that provide these types of services and actually look at all of them to just see for consistency, for clarity, and making sure that we are, expecting the same of all because of the questions that are being prompted tonight.
Thank you, trustee. As far as the structure, again, I know that through our communications team, they're in the process of documenting our requests for all partnerships, which includes the MOAs. And so you will be able to see that moving forward, just not at this time.
President Bustamante Adams, but could we see an example of another provider like this provider? Because we do have those contracts and MOAs in place with other school clinics.
I'm going to look to the superintendent and she's actually shaking her head. Yes, yes, yes. That's a yes, trustee, as far as the
Thank you.
Okay. The last person I have is trustee Henry.
Thank you, Madam President. Our goal when it comes to, you said that it has to go through risk management, and I understand. But smaller nonprofit organizations had to have $10 million. And they were mentoring organizations, provider. And multiple, there'll be a multiple, and I just,
Okay, with that then, I did not see anybody in public comment for this agenda item, but I want to double check. Is there any public comment? Ms. Caitlin, did you see any? Okay, so then that public comment is closed. Trustee Cavazos, I'll go back to your motion if you want to restate it. Okay, and I want to check in with legal counsel that if we wish to just table this, do we actually need a motion? Yes. Then yes, we've been kind of inconsistent on that. Sometimes ask myself being guilty of that also. So our item 3.2 to be tabled and to be brought back a future agenda item as possible with the question that presented by the trustees today answered. Have a first. Vice President Zamora.
I would like to second that motion.
Okay, I have a first and a second for table item 3.02. That motion fails 3-4. Anybody else like to make a motion? Hold on for a second. I gotta clear the board. I guess I don't have to clear the board. I don't know who's in the queue. Trustee, let me get motion approved 3.02. Thank you. I have first trustee Biasotti. I have a first second. Please cast your votes. That motion is 4 yeses, 1 abstention, and thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and move on to item. President, yes, sorry, I do want to say abstain. We are supposed to say reason for that. Oh, I do want to say that instead of voting no, sorry, I'm just talking too much as usual. That reason is good possibility open meeting law violation, and that is why. Okay, thank you so much for that clarification. With that, we're going to
go ahead to move on with the warrants.
Thank you, Madam President. Ratified warrants is listed in the bills payable, transmittal, and board memorandum number 5-25-26. Total amount of $177,280.43.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and move to item 4.01. This is our business item and a possible vote of this time. This is a place to conduct a public hearing on discussion of this item with between the Park County School District and the Education Supports Employee Association. I do not see anybody in public comment. Did I have anything that's anyone from speaking? Is there anyone that did not get a chance to complete the public speaker card?
Very much. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert, John Okazaki, General Counsel for the. I'm very happy to present to you tonight a proposed Employees Association 7 here today in the major between the parties to continue negotiating. Immediately once he's wanting to get these major what's going there's a lot. Some of you will be maintaining the 3% salary increase that had been previously funded by SB 231. SB 231 expired, but it was effectively replaced by SB 500. Parties of you to use that money to continue that 3% salary increase to result in an actual through the effective July 4th, 3%, which would table again being increased. So the total amount of the increase to the salary table on July 1st, 2025 will be 6%. In July 1st, 2026, we will implement an additional 3% salary increase to the salary table. So the salary table will be adjusted on that date to represent the 3% salaries. There will be step advancements during this biennium. We appreciate ESEA agreement with ESEA. I felt that they were very understanding and cooperative with the district in realizing the financial situation that faces the district. And I'm pleased with the agreement that we were able to reach. We will be implementing a salary increase contribution rate used to an increase so that there will be no additional deduction in their paycheck. And again, the agreement is for 2 years and will expire on June 30th, 2027. And like I indicated at the beginning, we will continue to negotiate additional terms. And if and when we come to an agreement on those terms, it will be brought back to you to the extent of the agreement. I will mention that the approximate cost of the changes that I just summarized is $121,441,721. This represents a approximately 11.13% increase in the total that, I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, trustees. Trustee Babylon.
Madam President, I was a teacher for years. Best friends, our friends there and support staff, whether it's our school nurse or any one of a number of the educational professionals, because in the and where they really are. I guess my biggest question is here under our for the I guess for a couple of next years, right? This is something that's sustainable for us to withstand and something that of course keeps them happy and is sustainable for us, right?
Yes, obviously, we did a lot of work into determining our ability to maintain this fiscally. Of course, we all know that these are based on estimates, but we've checked ourselves over and over and over again to try to make sure that we have confidence in the estimates. But yes, we can.
Forecast what's going to happen in the future, but we think we're good. Well, I definitely want to do and to the team with all the team. We're coming together with us so we can get back down to the nitty gritty of providing education for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from trustees? If not, go to trustee as far as again on the phone. Do you have any questions?
No.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, we don't have any public comment at all.
No, we don't.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to.
Wait, we do. Yes, sorry, we do. Okay. I had to get a motion. Okay.
Yes, I'm still making a motion to approve.
Roll that one.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call up, trustees, I don't know, did you have any other questions or was yours gonna be a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm bad at this mic thing. I think if there was like one of these things like at the bank, I'd be much better off with that. No, I just want to second, but I'll set it.
Thank you. So I would like to invite Ms. Jan Giles to come up, please.
Here.
Ms. Giles, please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, Superintendent, trustees. My name is Jan Giles, President of ESEA, and I am here in agreement. We are grateful for the partnership and the support that went into finalizing the difficult financials of this contract. While this agreement represents the best we can achieve within the current budget, it is not without its shortcomings. The decisions we made were not easy, and they never are. Many of our dedicated support professionals, some earning less than $20 an hour, are struggling while facing the same rising costs as equitable. Step for ECA to our shared public education possible. Instances support education that require the essentials or about the challenges we face with education support. High turnover wages continue to be made of our students. So for your vote, more. So our voices together and call on our state leaders to properly fund education and provide the full range of ESEA is committed to working beside this and the CCSD leadership to fight for fun and stronger support for public education because our students deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Gately, and then after him, David Gomez. Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you everybody here. For the record, Jason Gately, Gateley. I'm the president for Teamsters Local Team here in Las Vegas, working in partnership with the SEA. We appreciate the district's effort through these troubled times, these troubled economic times, to get to an agreement, one that benefits all of our members that we represent here in the district. We would appreciate a Senate vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Gomez.
Sorry, was in a hallway. Dave Gomez for the record, Nevada Peace Alliance president, former president of Wake Up, former deputy director of LULAC of Education, father of 7 children, and been a part of Clark County School District for God knows how long. I keep forgetting, but nevertheless, I just wanted to ditto what he was saying, and I just wanted to say yes to this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That ends our public comment. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you. I will repeat my motion, Madam President, this time to approve agenda item 3.02, memorandum of agreement between the sorry, 3.03, excuse me, addendum to the interlocal agreement.
4.01.
4.01.
Thank you. Thank you. I have please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. Yep. But now, this is a moment in time, we are going to take a recess. As part of our business meeting, we're going to go into a press conference. The time is 6:12. If I can have you back, we will resume in 20 minutes, so that would be 6:32. Please join us in the conference. Thank you. Yes.
Last year. I know it. We said like students for that. One day, like them, students to bring. So if you're here, literally, or something. Yeah. Yeah, that's something like. Karen, your thoughts on this? How about we? Just try this. Yeah, I 5 minutes. You know, it's yeah, switch versions. Yes, I'm so. You may come out of the ready? Well, that was the now the difference. So I'm looking for so it's not here. Even sound actions. It's very productive, but okay, we can't stay. First thing, oh, yeah, let's see. Choose. Perfect. That was a big difference. Less than point eight cents. It's a for constant. For. You got it. But so we must and I tried right, so I was well, when it comes to the post, it's kind of like, yeah. Green solids. Yeah. Okay, I could potentially be within your dinner. No, please. Potentially be interesting.
That's all it's said. That is the truth. And absolutely, it's beautiful. These acts and verses in this so, let's see things. Happy special great. Whatever it is. That people there. So you that's what I think. That way as we fix. So towards influence the Chinese the direct on this number issue or a city. Since it's a very community we have that. This is these regrets. It's more business. We are comments. Well, there's some there. It's right there. It's I get through. Yes, please. Today's try speaking is anytime. Like. Presented free for seats. Yeah, I think the example of class and creating and to get to like yeah. Although it's this hand so nasty.
Thank you so much for allowing us that recess to celebrate our contract with ESEA. We're now going to go ahead and move to 4.02. This is the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children. I'll turn it over to our deputy superintendent.
Thank you. Good evening, President Mr. Monte Adams, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. I am excited to introduce Kelly Lynn Charles from the Nevada Department of Education. And also, I'd also like to introduce Chris Aubert. She is the Nellis and Creech Air Force Base School Liaison for the conference. And with me today is Miss Charles. Thank you. She serves our military students every day. Ms. Charles is here to give you an overview of the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Students and the state's Purple Star Schools Award Program. Charles, thank you for that introduction. President Bustamante Adams, Superintendent Ebert, and members of the board, thank you for having me this evening. Like Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez said, my name is Kelly Lynn Charles, and I am an education programs professional with the Department of Education in the Office of Educator Development, Licensure, and Family Engagement. The purpose of the presentation is to share about the Nevada Purple Star School Award Program and the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children. A Nevada Purple Star School is a school that has been recognized by the Nevada Department of Education for its commitment to supporting the unique educational and social emotional needs of military connected children. These schools demonstrate an understanding of the legal requirements of the Interstate
compact on educational opportunity for military children, often shortened to just the compact, and a dedication to helping military families and their children navigate the challenges of frequent relocation and deployments. Purple is the color of joint military endeavors. It is said to be a combination of Army green, Marine Corps red, the blue of the Coast Guard, Air Force, and Navy, and now Space Force white. It is a color used for military children as well, since we come from all branches. Before I go further into the Purple Star schools, I would like to briefly address the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children. The Interstate Compact, or Compact, is an agreement among all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Nevada has been a compact member since 2009, and the compact language can be found in NRS 388F.10 and 388F.070. The compact applies to military-connected children with a parent or guardian falling in the category shown on the slide, who are in kindergarten through 12th grade in public and charter schools. All schools and districts should be aware of the compact, even if they're not Purple Star schools. And I am pleased to share that I will be offering in-depth trainings on the compact through RPDP, and the course should be added to their calendar soon. The compact exists to strengthen and ease transitions, close educational gaps, and provide uniform treatment for military-connected students as they transfer between school districts and state. The goal is to ensure that military children are not penalized by having to retake coursework or carry an excessive course schedule to make up courses missed due to frequent moves or due to their families. It ensures that students can achieve educational success and graduate on time with their peers without unnecessary obstacles. The compact was drafted with the intent to avoid conflict with existing state codes where possible, and it replaces widely varying policies that affected transitioning military students. The compact is managed at the national level by the Military Interstate Children's Compact Commission, or MIC3, which works to enforce the compact's rules and provide guidance to states and schools. The Nevada Department of Education facilitates a state council for the coordination of interstate compact on educational opportunity for military children. We like long titles. And our commissioner is appointed to the national MIC3 to represent Nevada at the national level. While the compact is not exhaustive in its coverage, it addresses the key issues encountered by military families in the areas of enrollment, placement, attendance, eligibility, and graduation. The compact is important because it provides districts and schools the flexibilities to make accommodations within the scope of the compact. It allows states, through their commissioners, to converse and facilitate cases and to do what is in the best interest of the student. It does not advocate for preferential or special treatment for military students, but instead it levels the playing field for military children. It doesn't impact curriculum or state or local authority on education. For example, a child can end up having to read that same novel 5 times throughout their school life. The compact does not apply to pre-K, and it does not cover every situation a military child shall encounter. The compact's law supersedes any conflicting state law. So when a state law says one thing, we look to the compact to apply for military children. If schools ever have a question or unsure of a course of action, we always suggest call us first. It's better to ask for clarification at the beginning than it is to wait or misspeak. The compact applies to military children during transitions out of a current school and into a new school and during times of deployment. It does not apply to a student moving from school to school within the same district. So why Purple Star schools? Nevada is home to roughly 11,000 school-aged military-connected children who are shaped by the influence of military in their life. Most military families will typically relocate every 2 to 3 years, with children attending 6 to 9 different school systems from kindergarten through 12th grade. These transitions create challenges since schools often have differing curricula, culture, standards, course offerings, schedules, and even graduation requirements. The Purple Star School designation tells families which schools are trained and ready to support them. And additionally, as the military makes decisions regarding base expansions and closures, they've begun to include community input and community support. So Purple Star schools can help retain bases, protect state revenue, and attract military families who bring economic benefit to local communities. All of Nevada public, private, and charter schools are eligible to apply for the Purple Star School Award. Applications for the award and the designation are accepted through February, with recognition presented in April to coincide with Month of the Military Child. We are dedicated to ensuring that any school receiving the Purple Star School designation meet the requirements of the program as outlined on the slide. So schools not initially meeting the requirements after submitting an application are provided feedback and are given the opportunity to submit any information that's missing or additional evidence. The application is then reviewed again and we determine whether the school can be named a Purple Star School. Schools that are awarded the Purple Stars designation receive an amazing purple banner and a certificate to display on site, as well as ongoing professional development. So what does the application look like? In order to be designated a Purple Star School, there are some required activities that schools have to complete and provide evidence of. All items must have been completed prior to applying, except for celebrating April, since applications are due in February. We do accept a plan for how they will celebrate the upcoming Month of the Military Child. The point of contact completes Military Children in Our Schools course, and that course is not just limited to the point of contact. Any school staff or community member can have access to that course and are encouraged to take it. The course is also provided as a Google website for those community members who do not have access to Canvas. The course is self-paced and participants learn about military culture, the Nevada military landscape, and the compact. They learn about the impact military has on military connected students and to provide strategies for supporting those students. The course provides resources for students, teachers, and parents. And I'd like to point out that some of the application components are worded broadly and open to interpretation to allow schools the flexibility to be a Purple Star school without overburdening them with planning. For example, if a school chooses to celebrate April with one activity, they will meet the requirements. If they choose to celebrate with 10 activities, they exceed the requirements, and both are acceptable. Schools are also required to complete at least one optional activity each year. The optional activities are flexible and allow schools to determine what works best for their community. Schools can even create their own optional activity if it's not listed on the list. And schools are welcome to complete more than one optional activity if they choose, and they can change that activity year after year. In order to maintain their designation, Purple Star schools conduct the required and optional activities on an annual basis, and then complete an annual reporting form that provides evidence of the activities they've done and a plan for what they plan to do for the next year. So you may be asking yourself, how many schools in Clark County are Purple Star schools? There's 22. I know, right? And they're listed on the slide for you. But we also have a Purple Star District Award. So this award means that every school in the district has been designated a Purple Star school. And we have two, Churchill County and Monroe County. It would be quite an undertaking for Clark County, but I think it's attainable. I think it's a goal and I think we can do it. And to be the 5th largest school district in the nation and a Purple Star school, what a great way to become a destination district for military connected families. But you ready? To assist Clark County in becoming a Purple Star district, we've established the Purple Star District Region Award. I know. As each CCSD region attains 100% of their schools designated, the region will get a designation award and their own banner and their own certificate. And then once all the regions are 100%, the district will be 100%. You can see from the slide, Region 1 has 16. And I have heard they are very, very competitive, and they have challenged and set their marks to be the first one. So I don't know if any other regions are in the room. They are. So thank you so much for allowing me to present to you this evening. I know that was a whole lot of information in a very short amount of time, but I am happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you so much. Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I was overjoyed to be part of Indian Springs designation to be a purple school, so I think this was really amazing. I had a couple of questions, and also as a military member that was stationed at Creech Air Force Base, I really appreciate it. So I had a question on how these, go back up, these POCs, do they have to be staff members? Can they be community members?
That is a great question, and thank you for that. I've noticed we don't have to say Kelly Lynn Charles for the record.
No, you don't. You can go directly.
I will try. That's a habit. I will try.
Saves us a lot of time, so.
Great, thank you for the question. We do recommend that the point of contact is a staff member because they're the ones that's going to be communicating with me, conversing with the principal and planning all the activities from the school. But there is that implementation team of four other additional people, which we highly encourage and even recommend that they include community members.
And is that staff member, do they have to be a veteran or a spouse or they can just be supportive of military?
Yes, they do not need to be a veteran or a spouse. They just need to be supportive to working with us and training the rest of their staff on military culture.
Awesome. And then when I thought this was so amazing. So when on page slide 8, so obviously there's a lot of schools that are not designated as purple school, but we still have military kids all over the district. Is there an ability for our seniors to be able to request these purple cords for graduation?
I believe the cord system is a site-based decision. And so that would be something that I would highly encourage the students to bring to their administration. We actually got in Indian Springs, a Purple Star school, because the children advocated for it.
Nice. And so if a parent is like interested or a staff member is interested, what can they do? How do they just contact you? How do they
They can absolutely contact me. Our website, Department of Ed, doe.nv.gov/Purple Star Schools has all the information. It has links to the application. I also offer monthly support hours between now and February. So everybody can join in, stay for as long as they want, get help with their application, get feedback on their application, answer any questions.
And I will put, we are very competitive in Region 1, so
I know
we're hopeful that we'll get that award. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President, and Kelly, Ms. Charles, sorry. Ms. Charles and Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez. What a fantastic presentation. You see, I have my purple on here. So I just want to say your enthusiasm in presenting this and being able to talk about all the different advantages and the extra work that goes into this and making sure that our military children, I come from a military family, so something like very special to me. I did have a couple of short questions here under on page 4, where we're talking about the placement and the attendance. Can you expand just a tiny bit on the special education services that are provided?
Thank you for the question. Special education services are an expectation of the compact, but there's nothing in addition to what is outlined in IDEA.
Okay, and I thank you for that. That was from a constituent who is new to our district and is military and has recently moved here. And I'm hoping, I will just throw this in, they have an educator in their family that I'm hoping is going to apply to the district. So, and they are military. So the other question had to do with the graduation requirements, testing, issuing diplomas. Does that all fall kind of in the same, where this is kind of meeting the expectations and kind of helping them along?
Thank you for the question. Graduation requirements, as you can imagine, are different in every state. And so, for example, if a student transitions here during their senior year, and we have different graduation requirements, two things can happen. Either we can waive certain requirements here so that the student can graduate at the school that they attend here in Clark County School District with their diploma. Or there's the option that they can actually receive the diploma from the sending state. So let's just say that they move from Virginia to here. We work through counseling services. And we make sure that we provide all the transcripts, all the needed information to the school, and showing that they completed whatever courses that were remaining, so that they can achieve that diploma from the sending state.
I did not know that. Thank you so much for that information. Really appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, trustee Lateral.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Deputy Superintendent, thank you. And of course, Ms. Charles, I really appreciate it. Sometimes the most difficult thing, is actually marshaling resources, because, believe it or not, there's actually quite a bit of resources. Have you had I guess I have two, maybe three questions. First one is, have you had a chance to have any sort of a presentation to the North Las Vegas Veterans Advisory Council?
That is a great question. We have been invited, but never counted.
I think we're going down the same, because of course, you may or may not be aware that we also have an educational advisory council. The city of Las Vegas, we kind of like, we're pushing the limits, we're edgy. So I have that'd be a fantastic thing for you to do, to present not only to our education advisory council, but also I think to our veterans advisory council, because we happen to have the very first municipal partnership here, where we actually have a Veterans Community Advisory Resource Center, right? That's like right next to the Veterans Hospital. It'd be a fantastic for you to, and here I'm gonna phrase this in the form of a question, so I'm not accused of shamelessly promoting, but it'd be great to also have you, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, there was to Fair Branch Regional Park, promoted by this friendly municipality and the state, maybe, but and now it'd be great to have you there to get the word out. And I'm not shamelessly promoting.
Thank you for that, Trustee Barone. We will already be going there with some of our JROTC schools.
Thank you. Awesome. Vice President Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. Kelly, that was amazing. You were definitely, well, you got me thinking who had the most schools in their district that were Purple Star. I'll give that one to Trustee Dominguez, I guess. But I do have some schools in Region 1 too, so I get to brag about that a little bit. My question is, on page 8, you have JROTC programs, right? It's one of their optional activities. So I feel like these are some of the programs that have a lot of financial, they need a lot of financial help sometimes to keep running in the school. Do you all do anything to help support that?
To support JROTC?
For the programs to keep running? Any
We do
fundraisers on that end? Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Stevens.
Hi. This is amazing. So I'm a military kid. In fact, are there military kids? I'll bet you guys didn't have this, because I know I didn't have this. And to have this kind of resource in our schools is fantastic. So thank you for doing the work. Thank you for the presentation. I do have one question. On page 7, it's the second bullet point. The POC provides ongoing professional development for staff on addressing and assessing the needs of military students. Is there some sort of curriculum for this, for consistency? Where is this point of contact getting the information to make sure that they are professional development and
Great.
training?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking. Our module that they are required to take, military children in our schools, is set up in such a way that they can provide that module face-to-face and continue it on the point of with military children in a time of global crisis, for spotting certain signs that may not be apparent in civilian students. And so they're able to meet up.
So we are also supported by the national office. of which I did not share in the very beginning. I am the Nevada Commissioner. So I work very closely with Kelly Lynn, and we ensure that all materials are updated regularly through the support of the national office. And if there are any changes, which there have been very, very few changes, if anything, there's just some policy changes that have come through. We make sure that that is incorporated in any professional development.
That is amazing. Thank you. I guess we need to get Region 3, you know, getting them up there. Thank you.
Trustee Biassadi, and then I'll go to trustee Esparza's again afterwards if you're still on the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, and staying with Region 2, we gotta get them kicking. I would love to see this in every school. It's definitely something to strive for. Engaging our military can counter the disengagement we see in teens, and I really think that this would give them a sense of patriotism, which is so important. With patriotism, we can instill values like justice, equality, responsibility, and unity. And overall, it really encourages our students to do good, which is something we really need in society right now. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Esparza's again, any questions?
I have a comment and then maybe two questions. Ms. Charles, thank you. Even your tone of voice is uplifting and I can hear the smile. So thank you for your positivity in this presentation. First comment, you know, it's just amazing the sacrifices that our military families and their children make in the service that they do for us all. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there. And having said that, Ms. Charles, first question, it's on page 8, the test that they take, the ASVAB, is offered to all juniors and seniors. Is that just to the Purple Star schools? And is there a cost for that?
Thank you for the question. No, the ASVAB is the test of military. I can't ASVAB. Then it's an entrance exam for the military, but it is also the best, in my personal opinion, career diagnostic available out. It is free after their aptitude at that career and what the average salary for it, what they're good at, and maybe where they want to live.
It is available to all students, all in a Purple Star school to qualify to take that exam.
Perfect. Thank you, Deputy Gonzalez and Ms. Charles. That's exactly what I wanted to know because that's invaluable for our youth to know. Maybe, you know, military is definitely what an incredible pathway for them. And then for them to, if they choose to pursue, you know, higher education, they could do that with this offering. The last question I have, very interested, you said you would be doing some future training, I think with RPDP, military children in our schools. You know, our board is, you know, differentiated instruction all the time. I know that they just love when I say, can we get trained? So how could we participate so that we could really understand the challenges of our military students and families, if possible?
That is a great question. RPDP will be publishing the schedule rather shortly. It's going to be once a month. And it is right down the street at the Department of Education boardroom from 4:30 to 7, and then 2 days in the summer. But also, if the board would like, more than happy to come do a training specific and just for you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Charles. No further questions, President.
Thank you, Trustee Barron.
No, just a quick note. I'd ask you to, if you could, in the presentation in the future, could you please note that our North Las Vegas school, named after our fallen first responder, is actually Raul Elizondo, not Paul Elizondo. I just speaking.
Thank you for catching that.
The English teacher in me just comes out every once in a while.
Thank you so much. And Superintendent Ebert?
Thank you. I just wanted to round out Kelly Lynn Charles and Felicia Gonzalez have been doing an amazing job over the years, and it's wonderful to witness going across this entire state to support our military families. And a lot of people think just about the adults, But that is our job in K-12 education on how we support the children. And so there are many examples and we are taking on the challenge, Kelly Lynn. I think you're going to need to clone yourself of becoming the 5th largest school district in the nation to have all of our schools. Thank you for what you do.
And thank you. And I have little flyers to give you if you would like to hand them out to your school.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you both. With that, we're going to go ahead and move to item 4.03, notice of intent. Clark County School District Regulation 2130. I'll turn it over to our Deputy Superintendent, Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. I am joined today by Director Aaron Rancher from our strategy unit. This notice of intent is to make revisions to Regulation 2130. The following revisions are being made to align with Nevada law following the 2025 legislative session. Specifically, Senate Bill 460 repealed NRS 3G 500, 610, and 670, as well as revised NRS 38G 650, 660, 680, and 740. In addition, Senate Bill 15 revised NRS 38G 630. The repeal of NRS 38G 610, which is reflected in new sections 1, 3, 8, 9, 12, and 18, ends the legal requirement to transfer certain responsibilities from the Clark County School District to individual schools. Now that site-based autonomy is not a mandate, certain determinations will need to be made regarding the level of autonomy schools will have going forward. This is an ongoing discussion which, while it necessitates revisions in regulations, is not yet resulting in significant changes in our practices. Revisions to NRS 38G 650, reflected in section 14, allow the district to intervene and require a school to spend its carry forward funds on specific priorities. Revisions to NRS 38G 660, reflected in section 12, make it where the requirement to allocate at least 85% of unrestricted funds to school budgets has been removed. Revisions to NRS 38G 680, which is now reflected in new section 13, amends the deadlines for providing schools with budget information, which will now be determined by the superintendent rather than being fixed on January 15th and November 1st. Revisions to NRS 38G 740, reflected in new sections 5 and 19, change the role of the SOT in the selection of principals. Their function is now to identify a desirable list of characteristics and indicate a preference. As a note, the school organizational teams must still approve the school's school performance plan, which includes the school's strategic budget. Revisions to NRS 3G 630, reflected in new section 7, remove the requirement to report to the county commission. And lastly, throughout the document, specific citations in Nevada revised statutes, or NRS, are being replaced with the more general phrase Nevada law. This is being done as best practice. At this time, we are available to take your questions.
Thank you. Do I have any questions from trustees? Before I take those, I just want to let the group know that this is an action item. So I do have some people on public comment. I have 3. There's one of them I couldn't read, Miss Kayla. I'm going to ask you if this is the one you want to speak on, but is there anybody that didn't complete a public comment card? Okay, I'll close public comment, take questions from trustees and then come back. Any questions for our deputy superintendent? Trustee Ramona Esparza-Stroffigan, I'll go to you to see if you have any questions.
I do, but I think I'll wait for the rest of my trustees. Can you come back to me?
Sure, no problem. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you. Can you come back to me also? This is a constituent question.
Okay, Trustee Dominguez.
I'll go first. So I read a lot about this because, this is a lot. And I think this is one of the biggest issues that we have is when legislatures make a law and then don't give enough time for the law to be implemented or, things to settle and then change it again. So, I think that's what we're happening here. Do we have any direction moving forward for what was 388G? And now that we don't have that, do we have any direction?
Thank you, Trustee Dominguez, for that question. So there are still, remaining parts to 3G, which is the reorganization. And just so you know, we are still required to provide yearly training. And we currently have a training document that has been submitted to the Nevada Department of Education for review and approval, and then it comes back. And then we send that out to principals, and principals utilize that to train their school organizational teams and their school communities on the parts of the law that are still remaining.
As far as moving forward for the part that is removing the autonomy of the school budget, do we have any foresight of where we're going to be moving in that, or we're just kind of we'll be deciding, or we're going to reassess and then think about it later?
Thank you for that question. It is a very big question, and currently, right now, in their current school budgets, we have made no changes, and we are having preliminary discussions with our new CFO on what that may look like, but no decisions have been made at this point.
So at least for this school year, maybe we'll put a timeline, but we're going to continue the same as we had done with 380G.
Yes, what is in place for this school year, what the budgets that have just been amended and turned in that were due last Friday, everything is still in place.
And I know we've just done a lot of training with budget and with 380G included. So I feel like we got very familiar with 380G, and now we submitted all of these documents to the state, complying with that. How does that work now that it's not there with those with the compliance portion of it?
Thank you. That is a great question, and that is something that we have been working with our compliance monitor on the interpretation of how does that look like, and I do believe that will be coming up in her report to address that specific question.
Will we be getting and I don't want another training. This is I'm almost like hesitant to even ask, but I mean we need to know how we're going to be moving forward, and so maybe once the decision, or our superintendent has made a decision on how we're moving forward, we can figure out training for us to how it's going to move forward with this budget.
So number one, it is a requirement of the board to be trained on this reorganizational law. So once we have those training materials back from the state, once they're approved, we can schedule through Joe Caruso a training. But that is about the law. That is not about the budget and what the budget would be moving forward. That is, once again, that is something that's to be determined, and I believe that Superintendent Ebert will be updating this board on what is being decided, so that all of you are aware.
We will be patient with the state, then hopefully they can take their time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. My one question, is this something that has passed during this past legislative session?
Yes, these changes were made through Senate Bill 460 in the past legislative session, and one of the changes was made through Senate Bill 15, which amended the reports. We are no longer required to report to the county commission.
Perfect, thank you.
Trustee Cavazos, are you ready or should I?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I was actually trying to combine some of these questions, so when these belong. So these are educated questions. They want to know who is monitoring to ensure the SOTs are correct. So I tried to find an example. If the SOT has a student success coordinator who is considered admin for all intents and purposes, does that count as licensed personnel?
I am not quite understanding this question.
You restate it.
Yes, could you please restate it?
Sure, and I tried to shorten it. I hope I didn't, mess it up. I believe what they are asking about is if it's correct. In other words, if the SOT makeup is correct. So they're asking if a student success coordinator. I've been asked this before, and I didn't know the answer, so I figured I'd ask you. Are they considered basically administrative?
So this is Aaron Brancher. I can answer the first part of your question where you asked about who's monitoring this and how do we make sure that SOTs have the right makeup. That data is collected every October. It gets sent out to principals to report who is on their SOTs. If there are any issues with who's on the SOTs, that is something that would have to be addressed with that principal. Now, I will say for the license side of things, all of the licensed elections actually go through CCEA.
Okay, that makes sense, to me, that makes sense. I think, and again, there were 2 or 3 different questions, and I was trying to combine them all. And one of the other examples that was given that was, for instance, like the chair is supposed to vacate when a teacher gets promoted. So how are student success coordinators allowed to be on SOTs? And I think that you have answered that. The other question, which it's like 3 or 4 questions, I'm just gonna kind of smush it together. It was a question about fixing the broken funding model. That's kind of a big question that's always out there all the time. But I think what they are asking here, what I can get from their communication is if schools are funded differently, like if they see one school that appears to be funded at 84%, another school is funded at 115%, and they're asking for some kind of explanation, and I didn't feel that was my lane.
Trustee Cavazos, if a principal is having is concerned about how they are funded, and even an SOT member should work through their principal should work through either their school associate superintendent and or their region superintendent. But I will tell you that in addition to that, principals have been afforded one-on-one meetings with our CFO and his team to go through the budget so that every line item is clearly explained to the principal. And so if there's any additional support that's needed, an SOT member has a question, they can work through their principal, provide them the questions, and then the principal can get those responses and get them back to the entire SOT.
Thank you so very much. That's all that I had, President.
Thank you, Trustee Barone, and then Trustee Sparza-Struck again. I'll go to you next.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm satisfied that this regulation put into place just more than anything is bringing us into compliance with state law, and totally understand that. Just to clarify, although I guess CCSD will not be making presentation to our friends at the county commission, this will still be something where the municipalities, the other municipalities will be still receiving these very timely and actually very helpful presentations. Is that correct?
Yes, all cities will still be receiving our presentations.
Thank you very much. I'm hoping that this board can entertain maybe the idea. That's something I talked about with the superintendent, that perhaps it would be very much in the interest of this board to receive an update from the municipalities. I will offer the city of North Las Vegas first, since we actually have our own education advisory committee, and we have, I call it an education czar, to actually present to this board what we're doing as a city to support the mission of CCSD to provide education and all the support that we can give as a municipality to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees, Ramona, as far as again, are you still there?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so, something have been answered and that's why I waited. I wanna just express that, we are trying to get, and it's the law, it was passed, it's alignment. Some of the, I would say apprehension from building leaders that I will say I kind of, been listening to is concerns about the vague language with page 11, where it says that principals are required to develop and submit a plan of operation, which consists of the school performance plan and the portion of the school budget over which the principal has authority at the determination of the superintendent. So I know it's not determined now, and those are decisions that will be made in the future. They normally and typically have been conditioned to 85%. And so, I just would hope that what is going to be the process for principals to weigh in on maybe this future decision making? That's my first question.
Right, thank you for that question. So, as we had stated before, we are still at the very beginning on taking a look at what the implications are of this law, and developing out a process so that we can, and we will be bringing together principals and sitting down with them, ensuring that their voices are heard in what the next version of these strategic budgets will look like in the future.
Thank you. I think they just wanted to hear that be expressed. The second one I want to go to is the carry forward. And the question is on page 14, there's the reference to additional language. The district may require schools to spend the carry forward as restricted funds. So I know we're in the beginning stages, but I want to ask the question now put it on record. Who will be reviewing that, and then who will approve that? And if there's maybe a mismatch with the school saying, maybe that is not how I want to spend my carry forward funds, is there an appeal process considered in the future?
Thank you. Once again, we have not developed a process for that or what that looks like, but we can certainly consider that there is an appeal process that is built into that.
Thank you for that. I think just getting that expressed for some of our leaders is very helpful. And then the last question that I have is on page 7 it was a big shift to understand that principals will no longer have the autonomy for certain possible placements. So would you help kind of clarify what the district going forward might consider if there will be personnel placements at schools in the future?
Thank you for the question. At this time, we have not made any determinations on what that will look like. And at this point, we have not made any decisions, and we are discussing what that future looks like.
Thank you, Deputy. And I again, I'm grateful that we can have these hard questions and in a very transparent way, just so that we know moving forward, these are the things that are weighing on people's minds and our leaders in the buildings. Thank you, Madam President. I have no further questions.
Thank you so much. With that, then, we do have our public comment. Those that called in, Miss Vicki Cardell, if you'd like to come forth, Mr. Brian Watcher, and then Jenna be the third person. Okay, thank you, Ms. Cardell. Brian and Miss Jenna. 4.03. Brian, you're listed. Are you okay? Miss Jenna, please proceed. Go ahead.
I didn't realize he's here. Trustees, Superintendent Jenna Robertson for the record. As a mom of multiple students scattered in magnets and assigned to different schools in the district, there's nothing more frustrating than having the same school rules and policies interpreted and implemented in 5 different ways at 4 different schools. And I had 5 students in 4 schools. So I hope I said that the right way, but that actually happened. Everything from recess to disciplinary policies and grades, everything is interpreted at a site level. So I am not a parent who's sad to see some of these things more centralized. I know that's not popular to a lot of parents, but I really appreciated having all of the students I have in the district. Because I wasn't understanding how that was happening, I became involved in the SLAC teams. I ran for, well, at first I just started attending, and I like to be heard and I have opinions. So I would show up and I would participate in those ways. I was very quickly elected SLAC chair. I've been co-chair. I have been, chair, vice chair. I've been a community member, and I've just been a parent that shows up. One of the most important roles that we always knew a SOT had was to help elect a principal when that need should arise. And that I never participated in that, but I've had several parent friends who have. They've been part of that process. They felt empowered. They felt like they represented the school culture, the students specifically at their school, the staff at their school. They felt they had a voice, and they felt that was a meaningful process. So I really, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the law says about this, and I don't know why that part of the policy is changing tonight, but I really hope that that can be considered, that can be reconsidered, perhaps to work with the SOT. I don't know what their role will be. Maybe that's something that is still working out, but I do hear that that's going to become a superintendent role to pick the new principal. I just really hope that the SOT is shored up, that you keep the importance of the SOT. I was proud to represent my school and to volunteer my time and serve my schools in those ways. The SOT is important. I think it helps with transparency. It helps with community engagement. You have parents. I was so proud this year because I was thinking of running for the SOT team of one of my schools because there was low participation last year. And this year there were so many parents that were going to apply. Heck, I don't have to do it. Thanks. So I really hope that the SOT's position is improved and made more important and more just make people want to be part of the SOT, make it feel like they're making a difference rather than diminishing their role. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Watchy.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Brian Walker. I serve as the president of the Retail Association of Nevada. We represent Nevada's retail industry, largely responsible. Our economic activity is for the over $3 billion we're spending on education. So for that, we are very interested in how you are divvying that up and making sure that our workforce is prepared to be able to enter the economy and to be able to bring value to Nevada. And so we're very pleased that we think that SB 460 actually eliminated some of the murky and gray zone areas on how the budget has been impacted since the reorganization. It's very nice now. One person's in charge, that's superintendent. We do though have concerns about how you're getting there. And so tonight, we're under the impression that tonight you're just I think approving your intention to let us know that you're holding a hearing on October 30th. We would officially ask you to not do that and instead hold a workshop or a public facing meeting with the superintendent's staff and members of the community that are interested in how you're building these regulations. You're not subject to the Administrative Procedures Act under NRS. You have your own separate one that doesn't require you to do that. But there's nothing that would prohibit this board from deciding that you wanted to have a public conversation. Part of the reason I think that you need to do that is if you just look on page 2, under number 2 there, it has a reference to what was section 29 is now section 23, but it says here the superintendent is going to push out administrative guideline. This is how she's going to talk to principals. And then if you jump to what is the new section 23, that does not have anything to do with that at all. I'm guessing that it was supposed to be section 25, but there's a couple congruency errors between how you're getting there and how you're actually implementing some of these things. Because the board went ahead and I think took the liberty to have conversations, we have concerns over section 5A. We have concerns over section 5B. We have concerns over section 8. Mostly how and by what process. We have concerns over section 8B. We also have concerns over section 9, what is that, new B? And quite frankly, not even sure what some of the words mean in that sense. And then when we get into more of the budget in section 12 here, you know, the district said, or the state says that you don't have to make sure that you're hitting that 85% mark. But what mark are you going to hit, and how are you going to arrive at that? And when are we going to know? A lot of this is being left up to the discretion of the superintendent. And we have a lot of faith and luck in her, but she may not be the superintendent all the time. And so some of these regulations really need to be spelled out as to when things are going to happen and what the process is to make them happen. And so we hope that you'll actually have a closed meeting as opposed to just your hearing.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here for public comment? I don't see any. Then I'll close that. I will go ahead and entertain a motion on 4.03. Does anyone have a motion? Trustee Biassadi.
I would like to make a motion to adopt agenda item 4.03.
Okay, I have the first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a first from Trustee Biassadi. I have a second from Trustee Johnson. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 4-3. We'll go ahead and move on to 4.04. It's a compliance monitoring report. This is also an action item. I don't see anybody signed up for public comment on this action item. Just want to, if there is any, you have to fill out a public comment card. Okay, seeing none, I'll close that public comment. Ms. Keene, I'll turn it over to you to proceed.
Hi, good evening, President Guzman Adams, trustees, and Superintendent Ebert. Yolanda King for the record, and I am the compliance monitor for CCSD. Today's report is to update you on the status of the district's corrective action plan. You may recall that the last status report, I reported to you that the status of the 29 action steps, and of the 29 action steps, 22 have been completed. And so that there remained the 7 action steps that were either in partially complete or incomplete status. So today I would like to update you on the remaining 7 and where we are with regard to the completion of those action steps. So I am happy to report that 2 of the action steps that were outstanding have been completed. The first of the action steps that was completed, it was partially complete, moved to complete, and that was the step which included analyzing and evaluating the resources, including the staff of the business and finance unit that's necessary to assist the principals in developing monitoring school budgets. So that was the action step that's noted as 1.1.3C. So the CCSD, the analysis of the budget and financial unit had been completed. And that's simply all that action step is asking for the district to do, is just to analyze what that looks like. There's another action step that right below that, the 1.13C, this is referencing 3D, where it's to develop a staffing model that would align to meet the needs of the school cycles. And as mentioned by Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez, because of the change with SB 460, that still remains to be further evaluated, because we're trying to figure, or the district is trying to figure out what and how the changes to the school budgets and what they will look like as a result of SB 460. So hence the reason why that particular step remains partially complete. The other step that is completed is on the second page, and this is the reference number 2.1.1A.
And that action step is to develop and implement a system to analyze and evaluate carry forward funds to each school to identify sources and create a method to track and account for how each school used actual carry forward expenditures to improve student achievement. So at the last report, this was noted as a partially complete action step, and partially complete meaning that there's still what I felt that needed to be worked that identified that carry forward dollars were being used in accordance with 380AG, and that the carry forward dollars, if used in accordance with 380AG, would complete the step of showing, identifying how those dollars are dedicated to student achievement or student improvement. So that's the whole intent for those carry forward dollars. The priorities that are set in place in 380AG is to make sure that those dollars are specifically identified for improving student achievement. So I have marked that step or assessed that that step is complete. What the school district did do for improving that step or getting us to the complete status is through the past or the current fall budget review that this district is currently under, there was additional training that was dedicated for principals to specifically talk about the carry forward dollars and to specifically talk about the use of those dollars. So that was reiterated with the schools through the budget training. And in addition to that, the district is also, it has improved upon the clarity of those dollars and the priority of those dollars through conversations that the supervisors are having directly with the principal through their ongoing monitoring of their dollars. And so that was added. And so I felt that the emphasis that was added to not only the training, but also the supervisor monitoring and mentoring, that was sufficient enough to ensure that that message is getting across and that the principals understand how those dollars are supposed to be used. And like I mentioned, if they're used in the manner that's outlined in 380AG, those specifically point to student achievement. And so that was the other step that was completed. Other than that, we still have 5 remaining outstanding action steps that will need to be completed. And I am currently working with staff and walking through some of the changes that have been made. And I really do hope that when I come back and report to you at the October report that almost all of those steps probably will have been completed. So this concludes my report for today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. King. Trustee Johnson.
Ms. King and Ms. Superintendent, how are the two of you working in alignment? Because I know you're superintendent, you're implementing the 100-day plan and all the things that are coming, and then Trustee King, your oversight is for systems that are legacy systems, and some may be changing with the work that you're doing. How are the two of you working in lockstep so that there's not like duplication of efforts and you're just being efficient, not wasting time?
Yeah, what's been really nice, thank you, Trustee Johnson, is the fact that we do have our new CFO as well. And so making sure that, and I was in the position when all of the state position, right? I placed the monitor here. So I'm very familiar with the work that needs to be completed. As our compliance monitor stated, because in our prior presentation, right, the law has changed. And so we are in the process of doing that analysis of does, the last few ones that are on here, do they still apply? Because the law no longer exists in that area when we first brought it in. So very closely, Justin, and then also Deputy Gonzalez, as you know, her prior role as well. So we are all very familiar of what needs to transpire. It's now just finishing that last component. Correct. And then also getting the state, interim state superintendent to sign off on it as well.
Thank you.
And Superintendent, if I may add to that, in terms of the coordination, you mentioned the CFO. I am working with the CFO, and he and I have talked about me participating in some of those work groups to try to work through and understand, and hear the concerns of the principals. So I am participating in those work group conversations, as well as, speaking with Superintendent Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez and her team. But the CFO and I are kind of working, hand in hand. We're trying to identify what this looks like and what's the best step forward. Thank you, Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. And I appreciate your comments regarding the collaboration you have with CFO. So I know that's really important as we move forward. I needed just a little clarification. As we ended last year and moved into new year, student achievement. When we define what that means, is it like gym equipment? Are those things that contribute to student achievement?
So I will have to ask Superintendent Ebert to answer what that looks like and the meaning of student achievement.
In relation to the last item in this question, it actually is in law for those dollars that are to be expended for our students that are at risk, our students that are ELL, things like extended school day, reading centers, pre-K, those are all dollars that can be used. So they are defined in those specific categories. In the general fund component, those are places where, again, as Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez had mentioned earlier, it's a matter of working with the principal, right? Making sure that we have alignment of where we are in our student achievement and that those dollars are going exactly to those needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Esparza-Strophigan, do you have any questions?
A comment and a question. Thank you, President. I would just want to publicly thank Ms. King. She's been so responsive to not just our doing the monitoring, but even to us as trustees. I know some of us have met with her and she's done some one-on-ones at our request. So Ms. King, some of our one-on-ones I want to bring up, just bring it back to succession planning. And now that we don't have this restriction with the timelines of the budget, we talked about how are we preparing not just our principals with their budget understanding and level of, problem solving, but our assistant principals. So I guess, do you have any thoughts or recommendations for us to consider now that that calendar's been kind of opened up? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
So I would like to just continue working with the CFO and also Superintendent Ebert and her deputies in identifying. We have discussed that probably the best way to do that is through some additional training and with the assistant principals for succession planning, just so that they understand, if at some point they do step into the principal roles, that they're comfortable and understand, what the budget and how to, how to create those budgets and interpret what those budgets mean and understand, putting together a budget, that is something that obviously is going to be useful, beneficial for their schools. So at this point, I think the best way to do that is just to develop a specific training plan for those assistant principals. And we can discuss if that's something that needs to be a part of, a mandatory requirement of their training, the professional learning, or only those maybe who are interested in progressing, to the principal level. So it seems like training would be the best. They may not have they're getting more of that now, but it doesn't hurt to maybe overtrain in that area specifically if they're interested in learning what that looks like and if they're going to progress to higher levels other than an assistant principal. So I can definitely keep that on the radar and work with the team as well as the CFO on what that training, professional learning training can look like for assistant principals.
Thank you so much, Ms. King. And I do want to thank our superintendent and the budget team. They've been I've kind of just been privy to the fact that they've been very responsive and listening to the instructional, level of the building leaders to try to really problem solve with some of the areas that are very challenging with our budget. So I just wanted to publicly put that there because I think as we're going forward, we're going to have to be very much there for them with navigating, what we need to with the budget. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. King. This is an action item, so I will entertain a motion to accept the compliance monitoring update. Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I motion to approve 4.04.
Thank you. I have a first, do I have a second? Trustee Cavazo.
I will second that motion.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. We will now move on to our business item 5.01, public comment on items not listed as action items on the agenda. Did anyone not get a chance to complete a public comment card? Okay, I think that's it. I will close then that section to accept any more public comment. We have several. And like I said at the beginning of the agenda, because we want to hear everyone, thank you for coming to our business meetings. So we will have each person give 2 minutes of their public comment. Remember, this is a business meeting, so there is decorum. In the back of your yellow sheets, there is guidelines for public comment. And so I will be monitoring that. We do want to be able to hear from everyone. So the first people that I have that had signed in, Miss Mitchell, Shalana. Is that person here, Miss Mitchell? Mitchell. No, sorry. No. Miss Mitchell, but I'm going to spell the name SHELANIA. No? Then Stefan Angerson? No? Barbara O'Quinn? Thank you, Miss Barbara. And then Karen Newcomer? Miss Karen? Yes, and we have 2 podiums. Thank you, Vice President. So the second one is over here, so I'll call you up. Ms. O'Quinn, please proceed.
Alrighty, I have a question. You had said 2 minutes, but earlier we were told 3 minutes for the people who had called in. And then people that signed up were getting 2 minutes. Are you cutting us to 2 minutes now?
Sorry about that. Sorry that if you misunderstood. No, it's for this section, it's 2 minutes total for everyone because we want to be able to hear everyone. And so it's 2 minutes, but I would love to be able to if you have written comment and so that we can keep it as part of the public record, I will take that and include it.
Well, I'm going to go at even faster warp speed then. Okay, cut it down to 3 minutes. I'm so proud. Okay, I'm ready. Hi, I'm Barbie O'Quinn. I'm speaking to you as a committed community member, a mother who's always placed education at the center of our household. The recent events in our district involving the educators who were unassigned from their classrooms have deeply concerned me. I am truly hoping this board will do the right thing, be great Americans by standing up for our Constitution and for our First Amendment rights.
that have been tested time and time again throughout our proud history. Granted, the comments were absolutely inappropriate for any medium, in my opinion, but we are a nation of strong opinions. Personally, I feel there have been much worse comments that have not disrupted the commenter's life to the extent of losing their livelihood. Let them by the P word for one, or I think it's worth it to have some gun deaths every year. But these were not employees of the CCSD. The question here is, have these comments created substantial interference to the educational mission or operation of the school? I say just the opposite. These comments have provided us with powerful teaching moment for our students. Here we have a real-time example of our constitutional rights being exercised, pressures being applied, and the difficult civic choices a community must make in response. By defending the principles of free expression, even for speech we disagree with, we demonstrate to our children what it means to be citizens in a constitutional democracy. In closing, let us just consider Voltaire's famous words: I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I do want to remind the audience that there's not clapping in this part of the section, but you can use your fingers to have quiet. And it is for not to be disruptive in the business meeting. Thank you so much. We want to make sure we hear you. So next, after Ms. Newcomer, Sarah, and I want to spell the last name, McGahan. Is that person here? Okay, you'll be next. Thank you. Ms. Newcomer, please proceed.
Hi, my name is Karen Newcomer, as you just said, and this is a very unusual situation because I'm obviously not normally a public speaker, as you'll see, but I've lived in the Valley for the last 25 years, and I'm very concerned about our current state of politics in our nation and our city. Thank you for allowing me to have time to address my concerns on the attacks to the very first amendment of our Constitution, freedom of speech. The U.S. Supreme Court has outlined specific exclusions to that right. Hate speech is not one of those exclusions. It is protected legally equally for Moms for Liberty and CCSD employees. Employers often have policies on speech. However, it is difficult to monitor and limit what a person says on their own personal time and apply that to policy to everyone equally. Charlie Kirk was a huge proponent of freedom of speech. In many people's view, he said horrible and very divisive things. He was not a national treasure. He never held a public office and did not enjoy any more protection from hate speech than any of us. He became very rich and smoothed with very powerful right-wing people by expressing those views, all very legal. We should all be leery of any group organized to take away our hard-won civil rights. We can never give in to the pressure from a group formed with that goal as their main objective. Speech that celebrates another's demise is not illegal, nor is poor taste. We often disagree with others' choices of words or their point of view. While we desperately need great public servants, we should not curtail their legal civil rights expressed on their own personal time to a point that they are frightened to voice their views, fearful of losing everything. Many find the words diversity, equity, and inclusion to be beautiful words and goals, while others find them reprehensible.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah. And I would say that if you'd like to submit your public comments, you can give them to our staff here for the record. Thank you. Ms. Sarah, you're next, and after her, Ms. Krydell. Sarah, please proceed.
Okay. My concerns this evening are in regards to the teachers currently employed by CCSD who have unequivocally violated the school district's code of ethics and our community's trust. Following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, several of your employees made grotesque, belligerent public statements in response to the news of this tragic event. As United States citizens, we have the right to speak our minds and share our ideas without the fear of government censorship. It's wonderful that we have the freedom to show those around us exactly who we are. by our words and our actions. One of your teachers, Joe Sedlak, admitted to the world he loved watching Charlie Kirk be shot in the neck in front of thousands of people on a school campus over and over and over again. Robert Cowles, another teacher, stated he couldn't think of anyone more deserving of a shot to the neck than someone who was peacefully debating with college students. Matt McCall, my son's orchestra teacher at Tarkanian Middle School, publicly accused Charlie Kirk of being a piece of trash human, justifying his murder and then stating his death was worth it. Good riddance. These teachers, and sadly others, have made it abundantly clear they are not fit to be in a classroom. These teachers openly support violence in schools so long as it silences or eliminates a human being they don't like. What is even more disturbing is clearly these teachers are far too secure in their position because they know you're desperate to fill positions. I'm here to tell you tonight, you cannot afford to be that desperate. You cannot be so desperate to fill a position that you will keep someone employed who openly condones murder, violence, and hate. At least I can say now as a mother that I am no longer that desperate. As of Monday, my son was unenrolled from CCSD. On behalf of those children, however, who are still in your care and who do not have a voice nor the choice to unenroll, do the right thing.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah. Thank you. As a reminder, I appreciate that you are respecting how we conduct business because we want to hear you. Thank you for those who are using your fingers and not clapping. I appreciate that. Ms. Crydell, and after that, Aaron, I'm going to spell the last name, Susuras. Is that person in the room, Aaron? Okay, how about Jeremy Heckler? Jeremy, you're after. Ms. Crydell, please proceed.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Crydell. I'm a CCSD teacher. Recently, I've seen some alarming things in CCSD. When I started here at our orientation, I remember Mr. Okazaki telling us we should avoid posting anything that's openly criticizing our admin, our school, or the district. I asked this week in a teacher group that I'm in if anyone from CCSD recalls being given specific guidance regarding other social media posts. Everyone said no. So imagine my surprise when I heard people were in trouble for non-CCSD posts on their own social media. As someone who has watched many teachers go through the disciplinary process, I don't recall anyone ever being disciplined for posts that were political in nature. I'm not saying that the posts I saw were in good taste. It's definitely not something I would have posted. But it does strike me as important that none of us have been given specific guidance on what we are or aren't allowed to post on our personal social media. I scoured CCSD policies, I checked our contract, and I found nothing that outlines these boundaries for us. So if we're not supposed to cross certain lines, wouldn't it make sense that we're aware of what they are? One thing in particular that also bothered me a lot was that the superintendent stated in our email to employees that any employee who posts something that creates a material and substantial disruption to the operation of the district could face discipline. Here's my question. How is it acceptable that two trustees who are sitting on the dais dox the employees who are facing discipline? They posted their school sites apparently to be sure there would be a disruption. How are educators in CCSD supposed to feel about trustees who do things like that with their trustee profiles? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cardell, and I appreciate that you follow our rules, that we address the entire team and not just individuals. So I appreciate that. Mr. Heckler, after you, I believe it's Ms. Rohn, R-H-O-N-E. That person in the room, last name R-H-O-N-E. Okay, not that. Mr. Leither, are you still in the room? Okay, Mr. Heckler, please proceed.
On the record, Jeremy Heckler. I am a teacher librarian in CCSD. I'm here to talk about the power of words. I've been an educator for 19 years. Before that, an Army journalist who has served in multiple countries telling the Army story. In my lifetime, I have seen the power of words, and I reflect on that today. As a librarian at an elementary school, the cruelest words I've ever heard was from a student from a kindergartner who spent 5 minutes calling me fat. As a secondary history teacher, I once was described by a Spanish phrase that is inappropriate to be said in front of this board. Both were minor things on the road of education. As a teacher librarian, I'm often reminded that words are powerful things. If they weren't, why would people who are not part of my educational community be so interested in the words my students read? The families, teachers, and administrators of schools are being told that their expertise is once again not good enough, and that those who wish to replace words with mantra will make the choices. Trust educators. If our expertise is dismissed, what does that say about the years of training and education educators invest to serve their students? Why not trust that we can work with our communities to best meet the needs of their students and find the best words that open up the words of students, of children? In the public area, I and my colleagues must face worse in the face of what words are and what words mean. The First Amendment that protects freedom of speech seems to be put on a scale lately, where one set of voices trumps the other as far as what is appropriate or inappropriate. What is worse is now our employers are judge and jury to determine those things while policymakers face none. Instead, let's commit to a standard of respect. Our students deserve nothing less. How can we say we support education when we describe educators with the words that strip them of their dignity and respect? I ask you as a board to, there we go.
Mr. Heckler, if you have written comments, you could submit them to Ms. Caitlin there for public record. And thank you for honoring our policy to not to address us as a group. We're not using individual staff member names. I appreciate you guys following that. Mr. Leither, after you, Ms. Kemp, are you in the audience still? Thank you so much. Mr. Leither, please proceed.
Hello. Well, a lot of people are making this about a political agenda, left versus right, free speech versus not free speech, but some of it's also about human decency. Now, every comment that was made does need to be filtered and looked at and examined. So we can't just judge all of the teachers that made comments online with one wide brush. You have to look at each individual one. And while the first lady that went up to the podium and spoke said some things about what President Trump had said previously, you know what? I would never have him teaching my child with some of the things he had said about women, especially if I had a teenage daughter. Saying that, when I look at what one teacher had written online regarding I watched that video over and over, like 50 times by now. And not the far away video, but the close-up video. Loved every fraction of a second. And it gets better every watch. Is that honestly somebody that I would trust my child to teach my child to watch? So was that a disruption based on the email that the superintendent sent out? In my opinion, from my understanding, he had police sent out to help protect them. There's been protests. I can't imagine the number of emails that these poor principals have received. So I'm not saying file all of them. I'm saying look closely at them and at least at him. Human decency says that person should be nowhere close to a child. He's not watching some movie or something. He's watching a human being. Even if you disagree with Charlie Kirk, and God knows I did, and I would have said so. I would have posted because I'm very open about things I disagree with. He was still a human being who was shot and murdered. And that video is I wouldn't even show my 15-year-old child that. And he's talking about his love of watching someone die. And you guys think he should be teaching our children? So I hope you do the right thing, examine each one individually.
Thank you, Mr. Leither, and I appreciate you respecting our policy to not refer people by individual names. So thank you, Ms. Kemp. And then after you, Ms. Kemp, is Mark. And I am going to spell the last name, Dieffen. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Ms. Kemp. Please proceed.
Julie Kemp for the record. Free speech is protected under the First Amendment. If we penalize teachers for exercising their right, we are undermining one of the core principles of our democracy, which, as we all know, is presently willfully under attack. The teachers who spoke their mind on their private social media accounts were exercising their right to free speech, no differently than the person who was killed while he was exercising his same right to free speech. The policy sent out by the district stating that they will not tolerate speech or conduct that causes a material or substantial disruption to its operations is not applicable, considering that these teachers spoke their mind on their personal social media accounts outside of school, not in their classrooms. Ironically, removing teachers from their classrooms does cause a disruption to students' learning, especially in a district notorious for high volume of teacher turnover and vacancy. Keeping focus on what is in the best interest of the children should be what matters most. Keeping teachers in their classrooms unless a law has actually been broken. On the other hand, posts by 2 of the school board members on their social media accounts in response to the teachers' posts were actually illegal. Assembly Bill 296 defines the act of doxing as a crime. The bill passed the State Assembly, the State Senate, and it was approved by Governor Lombardo on June 10th, 2025. There's a reason this law was written and passed. The damage done to victims of doxing is real, and in this case, our CCSD teachers were not immune. The law was passed to be a deterrent for such hateful actions, and in the case of the law being broken, to attempt to assist the victim in recovering from the damages they endured. Clark County School District must uphold the law and hold the board members accountable for their actions, and the teachers should be reinstated. Parents, students, and members of our community are watching. What do you want to model for our children who are the future leaders of our country? Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. After Mark is Amanda. It's Nuchos. There, I got it right. Okay, Mark, please proceed.
My name is Mark Diefenbacher, member of Surge Las Vegas, speaking today as an individual. We all want the same thing, for our schools to be places where every child, no matter their race, background, or gender, has the freedom to learn, to think critically, and to grow into their full potential. That means protecting the people who make that possible, our educators. But national groups like Moms for Liberty, backed by billionaire interests, are threatening those freedoms here in Nevada. They're set on silencing teachers for things said outside the classroom, banning books, and erasing parts of our history. Recently, 2 board members aligned with Moms for Liberty posted teachers' personal information online, leading to threats and harassment. Our teachers are members of this community. They deserve the same freedoms as anybody else, including the right to express themselves when they're off the clock. And our students deserve schools that reflect the truth. Let's be clear, this kind of censorship is meant to divide us and distract us from what really matters, giving every student a high quality, honest education in a safe, inclusive, and fully funded environment. Those here today and the community at large are speaking out in support of our teachers and children to protect our freedoms and to assist you in creating a first choice district. Together, we're standing up for the democratic principles that make public education worth fighting for. I urge the board to reinstate the teachers targeted for expressing their opinions and to hold the aforementioned board members accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. After Amanda, I have Kimberly, Linsday. Okay. Ms. Amanda, please proceed.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Knuckles. I'm a mom of a CCSD student, and I too grew up here and am a former CCSD student. I'm speaking because I am concerned about teachers being removed from their classrooms for exercising their right to free speech while outside of work. We often think of our teachers in the context of the classroom, but they are also our neighbors, our friends, and our fellow citizens. As American citizens, they have a right that is fundamental to our democracy, the freedom of speech as enshrined in our First Amendment. Our teachers are being held to an unfair standard, where their words outside of school hours can be used against them in the workplace. This creates a terrifying effect. It forces talented, dedicated educators to self-censor, to shy away from expressing their opinions on social issues, politics, and community matters for fear of professional reprisal. Fear is the weapon of those who would censor free speech in America, and we must not bow to bullies who wield such weapons. A healthy democracy needs engaged citizens, and teachers are no exception. As Isaac Asimov famously said, there is a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there always has been. The strain of anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. When we protect a teacher's right to speak their mind, we don't just protect them, we strengthen our communities and our democracy as a whole. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I just want to tell you, the audience, you're doing good. You have to respect people's differences of opinion. So thank you for respecting our business meeting. After you, Miss Kimberly, Miss Erin Phillips, are you in the room? I don't know if there you are. Okay, please proceed.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Johnston Wednesday, Turning Point Action Field Rep, and I'm here on behalf of the Moms Coalition. I want to make sure everyone in this room understands what happened with these educators that glorified what happened to Charlie Kirk on a college campus was glorifying a school shooter. Our children absolutely have been disrupted by this. Our entire world stopped and paid attention to what happened to Charlie Kirk that day. It disrupted the classroom. It disrupted their students. It has absolutely, your own policy was 5141.2, the harassment. The Nevada state, the law, NRSS, right? What we have here. 391.750 mandates dismissal for unprofessional conduct, evident unfitness for service, and gross misconduct. It is grossly it's a matter of decency. No one should have to be taught that if you're educating students, you don't glorify a school shooter. We have an issue in the state, do we not, with violence in our schools? Why would you support that? Freedom of speech is awesome. I love it. I'm an advocate for it. I love the Constitution. I serve my country. I would die for your rights to say whatever you want to say. But you can't scream fire in a theater and you can't yell bomb on a plane. There are rules. You can't do certain things. Be professional. Respect our children. You don't glorify school shooters. And I appreciate you guys' time too. Please do the right thing. I have emails. I am expecting updates. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. After you, Miss Phillips, Stefan, and the last name is Felgar. Are you in the audience? Okay, you'll be next. Ms. Phillips, please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, President Adams, trustees, and Superintendent Ebert. My name is Erin Phillips, and I'm a parent in District E, and I serve as the CEO of Power to Parent. First, I want to thank Superintendent Ebert for your decisive action in removing from the classroom the teachers who used social media to glorify the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You rightly recognize this as causing substantial disruption to our district, and parents appreciated that you acted swiftly to protect students. But removal is only the first step. CCSD's Regulation 4100 on communications and electronic conduct prohibits employees from electronic communications that can be reasonably construed as harassing, threatening, or bullying, and it requires professional, appropriate online behavior. Posts celebrating political violence clearly violate that standard and undermine a safe, respectful learning environment. Nevada law also provides clear grounds for dismissal. Under NRS 391.750, a teacher may be dismissed for immorality, unprofessional conduct, and insubordination. Publicly praising an assassination is unprofessional conduct that destroys parent trust and the educational mission. Now, let me be clear, free speech is a fundamental right. These teachers are free to say whatever they want, but they are not entitled to whatever job they want, especially when their words prove them unfit for the responsibility of teaching children. We hold students accountable for similar conduct. If a student posted that they loved every second of a violent killing, discipline would be swift. Educators, our children's role models, must be held to an even higher standard. Tonight, I respectfully ask you guys to finish the job. Proceed to terminate employment for the involved teachers under NRS 391.750 and the CCSD policy. Anything less undermines student safety, parent trust, and the integrity of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. After, no shouting, please. Thank you so much. After Stephen, Matthew Winterhoff, are you still here?
Here.
Thank you. Please proceed, Mr. Stephen.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you. So I read what the teacher said, and it was pretty appalling. I have to admit, you should never celebrate someone's death. But what the teachers did was bad, but what you're doing is worse. It's worse because you're the government. And the government has no business suppressing free speech. In my opinion, that's just un-American. Look, I'm not an attorney, But I think that your actions are blatantly unconstitutional and illegal. And I don't think your material and substantial interference rationale will hold up in court. So I hope this case winds up in court. I hope you lose. Thank you.
Thank you so much. After Mr. Winterhoff, is Eva Olivia Case here? Okay, there's a microphone on this side. Mr. Winterhoff, please proceed.
Push the button, it's working. There we go. This year's been a turning point for the CCSD lawmakers. They've moved to nearly a tenfold on the pay, giving appointed trustees voting rights in 2027, and then shifting 6 CCSD charters to state control. That's massive reshuffling of power, and parents deserve to know how that benefits students, not just the system. Teachers matter, but accountability matters too. Right now, this is progress that you have a 94.4% of a retention rate for the school district. I'll give you that. But morale, culture, and trust are not fixed by the money alone. This Charlie Kirk incident right now showed us how fragile trust really is. I do support free speech, but as an educator, you have a higher standard. Teachers hold influence over impressionable kids, and with that influence comes responsibility. And I did see an initial response, and I was glad with it. But I do understand also that you're withheld by certain contracts by the CCEA union, and therefore you will end up in litigation and those appropriations against it, so it will cost you and cost this community. I understand that. But the fact is that at one time, inappropriate conversations with students would get you fired. Now, those same conversations get defended as free speech. It's a nice conflation, but it's not a truth, and you all know the difference. And that goes for everyone in this room as well as on the board. This is a very dangerous line to blur. So to be fair on all sides, publish clear standards for what counts as a substantial disruption for your teachers. Report how many of these staff were reassigned, and apply the consequences fairly and consistently, no matter the politics, whether it leans left or right. And in the future, the problem inside here is because we have 7,910 square miles managed by one board. It's a problem. Break up the CCSD.
Thank you so much. After Miss Ava, Melody Phoenix, are you in the audience? Thank you so much. Please proceed. Ms. Chase.
Hi, I am Eva Olivia Chase. I've lived in Las Vegas for 18 years. I work at Shark Reef Aquarium in Mandalay Bay in the education department. As a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16 next year, after running last year when I got 665 votes or 27% of the vote, I realize the importance of free speech. I may not agree with what someone else will say, but they have a right to say it. And they have the same right to say what I think that's important to me as an individual. What we need to do is we need to be fair to these teachers. What they did may not have been exactly correct. However, they were exercising their right of free speech. We have to consider that as we move forward. Our country is under attack, and it's coming from within. It is coming from the authority of the nation's capital. And I will not say this person's name. This person is not held accountable for anything that they say. Then why is it that these school teachers are held accountable for what they said? It has to be a two-way street. I'm going to close my comments on this. As a proud progressive Democrat, a U.S. Air Force veteran, a college graduate, and a fully transitioned trans woman, I understand how hate speech can hurt. Let's stand up and please give these teachers their jobs back. Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate the audience, how you respect differences. That's the good work. And now I have Melody, but after you, Timothy Underwood, are you in the audience? Oh, there you are. Okay. Ms. Phoenix, please proceed.
Melody Phoenix. I went to school at CCSD. I now have two children. I'm confused as to the question of why now? Why now have teachers been removed from classrooms when we already have a teacher shortage? Why have they been removed from classrooms for sharing their personal opinions on their personal platforms when the district has never served similar consequences to those in the past who have expressed horrible, hateful views about COVID or Black Lives Matter or the LGBTQ community? You know that they have existed in the past. Your staff has made comments that are horrible, even about George Floyd when that all happened. And nothing was done. Nobody monitored at that point. So why now? And I believe it's because you're being pressured by the current people in power. Nevada News and Views is the one who put out the article and named the person in power who's pushing forward for your agenda. So I don't envy any of you for being put in that position with trying to maintain public education in the 5th largest school district during these kinds of times, but I didn't ask for your position either. You did. And there are still more people than not who believe in the First Amendment and all that it stands for. In reinstating these teachers who did not force their views within classrooms or to children, but did it in their own entitled space, they should be back in classrooms. And I'm sure there will be consequences to you not reinstating them or consequences for reinstating them. But your job is to do the best thing for the students, families, and your staff by the laws set in place to guide your decision. You will be setting a precedent with your decision. And I promise you, we will have your back for choosing the right one, which is to protect the First Amendment for everyone here. Also mentioned in that same article that rallied everyone here today was the call for school choice. So you know the long.
Thank you, Ms. Phoenix. You could give your written comments to Caitlin, Mr. Underwood, and then Carrie Kaufman. Are you in the audience? Okay, Mr. Underwood, please proceed.
Thank you. I was going to give a speech on my 5-year public records investigation on this district, but I'm changing the topic. This is not a free speech issue, it's a conduct issue. When school teachers, leaders of school children, in public applaud and cheer the killing, the murder, the political assassination of the innocent man, that school teacher signals to vulnerable students that it's okay to kill, to murder, to assassinate innocent people. That's the conduct that is unforgivable. And in defense of our trustees that are being blamed for doxing, nobody was doxed. Their addresses were not released. So that takes care of that. I'd like to ask, how would those defending the unprofessional conduct of these transgressive teachers feel if it was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who was gunned down by a zealous right-wing assassin and he had school teachers applauding her murder? I don't think you'd feel the same. It's bad conduct. It must be punished. Thank you.
Mr. Underwood, after you, Ms. Kaufman, Ellen Hines, are you in the audience? Ellen? Okay. Ms. Kaufman, please proceed.
Carrie Kaufman. A few years ago on New Year's Eve, I found myself talking to my cousin's son. He was a junior at Rancho High School, and he was telling me about his social studies teacher. Just out of the blue here, he was telling me what a great teacher he was, the facts about government and history that totally blew his mind, and how his teacher treated them like sentient beings, not stupid children. That's really cool, I said. Yeah, he said, Mr. Coles is cool. I smiled in surprise and texted Mr. Coles to let him know the impact he was having. The other day, a friend of mine told me to mention Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken. In the dreaded run-up to this meeting, I began to personify those roads. I've begun to see them as the road of courage and the road of cowardice. The road of courage is a hard road. It is full of truth and wisdom. It scoops people out of ditches and lifts them up on its shoulders. It protects the vulnerable when the road of cowardice intersects. The road of cowardice only cares about getting to its end, about pleasing the masters who ride it, who it throws the vulnerable under the wheels of the powerful whose vehicles straddle the lanes. The road of cowardice wants to survive. The road of courage wants to go places. I've come to realize that CCSD was built on the road of cowardice, and Robert Coles has traveled the road of courage all his life.
Stop for a second, just pause for.
What's going on?
Yes, no, I just refrain from using CCSD staff names. That would be helpful.
Oh,
yeah.
Somebody else used it.
Yep, and my parliamentarian person here is catching me and reminding me to make sure that we follow our guidelines. So she's catching me. Okay, so I'm not, I'm giving you your time. Keep going. You have 5 minutes, but I won't. 5 seconds. I'm discussing this on earlier. Hold on. Keep going.
Now you're dealing with an onslaught of hate. And the people who run this district, I had to figure out how to throw them under the bus. It is shameful. It is not unexpected.
Thank you, Ms. Kaufman. I appreciate you. After Mr. Allen, Daryl Cornell, are you in the audience? No, I didn't say it right. It's Darold. I did not say it right. No? Okay, then hold on for a second, Ellen. How about Clint Hatfield? Is there a Clint Hatfield? Okay, I'm gonna let me know when he comes back in. But how about Diana Johnson? Okay, Alan, please proceed.
Superintendent Ebert, President Bustamante Adams, and Board of Trustees. My name is Alan Hines. I'm a member of Surge, Las Vegas, and I'm speaking today as an individual. While most of us cannot recite all of the amendments of the U.S. Constitution, the majority of us know the First Amendment clearly states our right to freedom of speech. As such, it is our duty to defend not only our own right, but the right of all individuals to legally express their thoughts and opinions. Teachers should not be retaliated against for legal public comments made outside of contract teaching time. Just as Charlie Kirk should not have been assassinated for his racial, political, and religious views, or Jimmy Kimmel suspended from broadcast based on his criticisms of our president. Tolerance should be exercised in all cases. I was made aware of one of the comments made by one of the teachers who was removed from his classroom. I found this comment to be personally appalling. But I also realized that I would not have heard or seen that comment if not for the doxing done by a Moms of Liberty member and shared by 2 school board trustees. This action was inappropriate, and I understand that it's also illegal. Broadcasting teacher personal information that helps or encourages others to find them, challenge them, or harm them is blatantly wrong. At a time when we are greatly in need of teachers, I feel we need to do all that we can to keep the ones that we have. The board needs to give all teachers the support they need. Sometimes this might require an intervention to explore their mental or emotional state. And maybe an assignment to a sensitivity session would be in order.
Thank you so much. And next after, so you're Miss Johnson.
I am.
And then I think that Mr. Hatfield, are you back? Okay. So you'll be over here. Thank you. Miss Johnson, please proceed.
Thank you, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm going to go quickly. I'm here to speak about a social studies teacher at Cimarron High School and a special education teacher at Rogish Middle School. One stated that no one was more deserving of a gunshot wound to the neck than Charlie Kirk, while a special education teacher was even more vile, posting that he watched the close-up murder video over 50 times and loved watching every fraction of a second of it, and that it, quote, gets better with every watch. Now, I hear a lot about freedom of speech, and I am a constitutionalist and therefore clearly pro-First Amendment. So let's talk about that briefly. It's sometimes referred to as the Establishment Clause, or specifically what the government cannot establish. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, urging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Notice how the First Amendment doesn't speak to consequences of the hate speech. It speaks only to an establishment of law. The people we entrust with the education of our children is an immense responsibility that requires trust. Trust that our children will learn and not be indoctrinated into the ideologies of those teaching them. When a teacher uses such poor judgment as to post incredibly extreme and frankly grotesque opinions, it destroys the trust of the community at large. We cannot be in our children's classroom all day or even in the after-school clubs our children may attend. We need to trust that the person who is in a position of authority over them has good judgment. The student population is widely diverse and they should be celebrated and embraced. The teachers allowed to show. The teacher showed a frankly pathological hatred for a Christian conservative. Can you imagine if this conversation would be for somebody who's maybe a person of color or LGBTQ? I see no difference and neither should you. But I am here to tell you a huge part of the student body is both Christian or
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. If you'd like to present your written comments to Ms. Caitlin, we'll put it in the public record. And thank you for following our guidelines by not mentioning people by name. After Mr. Hatfield, Maria Teresa, I think it says Hank, Hank. Okay. Mr. Hatfield, please proceed.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Hatfield. I want to reiterate everything our side said. For 15 days, we've been flooded with emotions. We've been flooded with social media posts of people celebrating with vile lust for murder. They've been showing the most disgusting words and saying the most disgusting things. I am the supporter of the First Amendment. I will die for that. But to glorify an assassination and like Joseph, like it said, he watched it 50 times.
Oh, yeah. Hold on for a second. Yeah. Mr. Hatfield, I know that you were out of the room, but if you cannot use the name, yeah.
All right. This teacher had said that he watched it over 50 times. The close-up version, how disgusting is that? It's vile. It's in poor taste. I think he should be taken out of the school. Those types of mentalities should not be around children because they will tell those children their political beliefs. They'll tell those children which way to think. Those children can see their social media because it's a public place for them to go. They can go and look at their teachers' posts and see this, and then those kids will say, "Oh, it's okay to say this murder was a good thing because his opinions went against my beliefs. He was a Christian, so it's okay that he died." Lies are spread about him. He was racist. Over 60 plus hours of Charlie Kirk's speeches, not a single racist word has ever been spoken by the man. This is my time.
About this time. I've already said it. You need to respect people's differences. It is an opportunity for us to hear it. And so, Mr. Hatfield, please.
I appreciate you.
Proceed.
Thank you. The intolerance from the left is just disgusting at this moment. I, as a parent, demand that we hold these resignations and these teachers be taken away. They should not teach us.
Thank you. After Mr. Hatfield, we have Mrs. Hank and then Brian. Watcher, are you still here?
Okay.
Ms. Hank, please proceed.
Mabuhay and aloha, President Bustamante Adams, Superintendent Ebert, and members of the Board of Trustees. For the record, my name is Maria Teresa Hank. As a mom who had 3 of my 4 children graduate from the CCSD school system, I stand here today in strong support of our CCSD educators and their constitutional right to free speech under the First Amendment. It is deeply troubling to me that 2 members of this very board chose to publicly expose the private information of 2 teachers, an act known as doxing. This is not just a lapse in judgment, it was a breach of trust and a dangerous escalation. No educator should ever fear harassment, threats, or retaliation simply for exercising their right to speak on their own on issues. The First Amendment protects us all, including educators. This board should be a model of how integrity, transparency, and respect for civil liberties, not a source of intimidation. I urge the board to take immediate steps to ensure the privacy and safety of our teachers, to hold those responsible for the doxing accountable, and to reaffirm its commitment to protecting the constitutional rights of all district employees. Our educators deserve our gratitude and our protection, not political retribution. Salamat po, mahalo nui loa, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. After Mr. Watcher, Benna, are you still here? I think I saw you. Okay, there you go. Please proceed, Brian.
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Brian Wachter. I'm a parent here in the Clark County School District. I found it kind of interesting for the purpose of this conversation that out in your entryway here before the boardroom is a collection of all the important American documents, but missing from the wall seems to be the Bill of Rights. And I think that's an important thing to note as we're here having this conversation. I was at Mojave High School as a junior or a senior sitting in government class and listening to the words of Ronald Reagan when he said that democracy is only a generation away from extinction. And I don't know that at 16 I understood what that meant, but in the last 5 years I've seen what that meant. And what that means is, as a collection of society, we are deciding what people can say and what people can't say. And we're here today because a few of those teachers have been might be fired for expressing their personal political views online. And some argue this is a simple matter of human resources, but I think Alexis de Tocqueville would see it differently. He warned that in a democracy, the majority can exert an immense suffocating pressure to create a single formidable circle of thought. And what we are witnessing is not a debate, but an attempt to silence dissent, and it is coercive to our democracy. We have to make sure, some of my very good friends are government employees, and they have just as many rights as I do to be able to speak out, especially in a public forum, and be able to share those views. And I think it is going to have a dramatic effect on government employees. If you decide that this is how you are going to serve and make a living, if you have to check your First Amendment rights and your civil liberties at the door in order to do so. The fact that there are economic consequences, as if some of these public officials are toddlers that need to be punished, is wrong. If you open the door to now policing what thoughts are and their teachers on their private computers, we will be here forever. You have 3 teachers right now in your district who have positive posts on Facebook about joining militias. What are we going to be investigating? How much?
Thank you, Mr. Watcher. After Ms. Benna, Mark. NOKA. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Jenna, please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening again, trustees, Superintendent Ebert. I'm Jenna Robertson, for the record, mom of 3 students in District F, G, and C, and 2 recent graduates from A. I came here tonight with a different public comment, but I find the fact that this is a free speech issue ironic because, not naming names, right? Members of this board, current and recent past, have posted horrible things on their social media about students, parents, staff members, and the reply we get back, the official reply from this board, time and time again, is that it's a free speech issue and they have a right to say it. So where were their consequences? Those affected didn't call enough schools and scream at enough office managers to make a difference. They didn't create enough chaos outside schools with students present to make a difference. They didn't, the problem with this really is that it feels
disingenuous, right? The easy thing to do is to send these teachers home and then deal with it or not. But this is a bigger issue. Other people have been targeted by members of this board, and nothing has ever been done. There are no consequences. So if you're going to make this a free speech issue about these teachers, make it a free speech issue across the board. And there should be consequences no matter what your level. I understand you guys are, it's my understanding that you guys are not employees of the district. I think that's right. So maybe the consequences don't apply equally, but if there's not consequences to the board, why in the heck are there consequences to teachers doing, I won't say less, because I didn't agree with what was said either personally, but if you're going to argue trustees' rights to say what they say, there should be equal application to the teachers involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mark, after you, it's Teresa Yancey Benson. Are you still up there? Okay, Mark, please proceed. Oh, wait. I think your mic's not on. No, there you go. Okay.
Unlike many people in this room, I was personally affected by what happened. My daughter is a student at Cimarron Memorial High School. The day of September 12th, I visited the principal, saw extra CCSD police there. But it turned out they weren't there to protect the students. They were there to protect that teacher who was allowed in the building that day. And another student brought a gun in the hallway where my daughter was. CCSD chose to protect a teacher who said something unbelievably reprehensible and did not think to protect those kids. They protected him. My daughter could have been killed that day. And everybody in here is talking about free speech and everything else and disruption. You should have been there when I went down to Cimarron at 11 o'clock that day again to pick my daughter up and see all the parents and all the kids crying. That's the disruption that this man caused. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves saying, oh, it didn't cause a problem. These kids are scared to go to school. Look at my daughter right now. They were scared that day. Some of them stayed home. And all you guys can talk about is, oh, we should be protecting him. No, we should be protecting those kids. Those teachers who did this, and I coached in the public school system for 20 years in Pennsylvania, have lost the confidence of these children. They're scared to have them back in the classroom. At Cimarron, you have 2,200 students to protect. And I'm sorry, but this one man does not deserve the protection that those kids deserve. And they should not be allowed back in the classroom, period. End of story. And I hope you make the right decision and protect these kids better next time. Metal detectors there, guards. Do something right. Done.
Thank you, Mark. Teresa, after you is Emily. I think it says Abrego, Abrego. In the audience. I'm in. Okay, Ms. Teresa, please proceed.
Evening, students, school board members. I'm here in strong support of dedicated educators within the Clark County School District who are currently facing public targeting for exercising their constitutional right to freedom of speech. As educators, they have devoted themselves to serving students, supporting families, and strengthening our community. Like all citizens, they're entitled to share their perspectives on matters of public concern, particularly when doing so on their personal social media accounts and outside of the scope of their official duties. Their speech is protected under the First Amendment, which ensures that public employees do not surrender their rights as private citizens. It is deeply troubling that instead of engaging in healthy civic dialogue, some have chosen to retaliate by exposing those educators' personal information online. This act is known as doxing, and it is not only a dangerous invasion of privacy, but it also recognizes the crime under Nevada law with the passage of AB 296. Doxing is considered a punishable offense, in some cases even a felony, because of the significant harm it can inflict, including threats, harassment, and disruption to one's personal and professional life. No educator should be subjected to intimidation, harassment, or threats to their safety for speaking their mind as a private citizen. Silencing educators through fear undermines democratic participation and deprives our community of important voices in conversations about education and public life. I urge you to stand firmly against the harassment of these educators, to recognize and defend their right to free speech, and to hold accountable any individuals who engage in unlawful acts of doxing. Protecting the safety and dignity of our teachers is essential, and not only to their well-being, but also to the integrity of our schools and the example we set for our students. Their educators deserve our respect, protection, and support, and I respectfully ask that you affirm their right to freedom of speech and condemn any attempt to imitate or any attempt to dox or intimidate them. And we grandparents are watching.
Thank you so much, Dr. Emily. Is Cyrus, HOJJ, Cyrus, are you here?
Yes.
Okay. Emily, please proceed.
Hello, President Bustamante, hello, Superintendent Ebert, and members of the board. I am Emily Abrego, a student at O'Callaghan Middle School. I am here to speak about the reduction in campus monitors at my school because of budget cuts. We used to have 4 campus monitors, but now we will go down to only having 2. This cut also means we're losing the only female campus monitor on campus. Fewer adults will watch hallways, lunch, and after school, which could put students at risk. She is kind, supportive, and makes students feel safe. Many of us trust her, and she's a big reason why I enjoy coming to school. Superintendent Ebert, Region Superintendent Mr. Theodore Robertson, and School Associate Superintendent Mr. Ronnie Gruden. I ask you to please help adjust the budget so we can keep the only female campus monitor. Having her at our school makes a difference in our safety and how comfortable we feel daily. Please help us to find a way to keep her. Thank you for listening and for tuning in to the.
Thank you, Ms. Emily. Cyrus, after you is Anthony Jenkins. Anthony, are you?
And the next one, no.
What do you mean?
I want to go after.
No. But, is Anthony here?
Then I'll go.
Okay, hold on for a second. Is it, Anthony, did you say you were here? Okay, right up here in the front. Thank you so much. Hold on for a second, Cyrus. I want to make sure you're not. In that seat right there. Thank you. Okay, Cyrus, you're welcome. Please proceed, Cyrus.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Cyrus Ojani. All I'm asking is the removal of double standards, if there's any. If God forbid, if somebody who advocated positions that were the opposite of Charlie Kirk, and God forbid something happened to them and a teacher advocated or celebrated the fact that the loss of that advocacy person was gone, that standard should be applied to them. It's very simple. So for an example, let's just say, if somebody, and again, my question is, where do you draw the line between hate speech and free speech? For an example, if I make pretty controversial statements talking about, let's just say, if I don't believe race is a social construct, that groups of people lived much different civilizations 1,000 years ago, that a lot of the changes that's happened among gender, especially women in the last 60 years, some of it have not been beneficial to them or society as a whole. How is that protected speech? Because pretty controversial when you think about it. I mean, when you have all these European-themed hotels on the Strip, that should tell you something about race. And I think that Charlie Kirk was a symbol of what a lot of people did not admire. His background, his views, the fact that he became successful and able to start a family while he was young. And I feel that there's been an effort to essentially undo that for the last 60 years. And by the way, there's a lot of corporate money that has been pushed for social justice organizations. You look at our unions or casino elites, Wall Street. When you think about it, there's a lot of dark money into these factors. Private equity, they're all pushing this. And so, sure, there are straight white males that are the problem, but they're the ones who are pulling the strings behind all of this, all these NGOs, and laughing their way to the bank. Just follow the money. Thank
you. Next is Barbie. Oh, no. Sorry, Mr. Anthony, hold on for a second. Is Miss O'Quinn still here? You just went, okay, so I'll remove that. Hold on for a second, Mr. Anthony. After Jill Douglas, are you here? Okay. Mr. Jenkins, please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, board, for allowing me this opportunity. In response to the matter that has been talked about, one must not be blind nor dim by the facts of the matter under the veil of superficiality or ignorance or anger. Especially fear, because fear is a mind killer. But we must stay true to the principles that was instilled in the First Amendment. The drafters of it trusted future generations to abide by it, to be guided by it, as well as other earlier historical examples like George Santayana, who said that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. That's paraphrased as those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Added to by those who fail to learn from history correctly are simply doomed. Another historical example is Catullus, who was respected and approved by Julius Caesar, who was the target of many of Catullus's criticisms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. If you have written remarks, we'll be happy to take it. Miss Caitlin over here can receive that from you. After Jill, Norma, and the last name is SCU
Skurlock.
Skurlock. And sometimes I cannot read the writing and I don't want to mispronounce your name. So, Miss Norma, are you here? Yes. Okay. Miss Jill, please proceed.
Good evening, Superintendent and Trustees. I'm Jill Douglas. I stand before you today with a simple yet urgent message. A school is not an arena for celebrating political violence or for normalizing hate. When a teacher entrusted with shaping young minds uses their platform to laud the assassination of a Charlie Kirk, it is not a private act of free speech. It is a violation of the sacred trust we place in our schools. Yes, we value free speech, but free speech is never absolute. My husband served in the military. He did not have free speech. I worked in corporate America. I was told I had to protect the brand. I did not have free speech. We don't have free speech here tonight to say the names of certain individuals. In a school environment, speech that encourages violence, that celebrates bloodshed, or dehumanizes another human being crosses a line. It undermines safety, trust, and the dignity of every student, especially those whose beliefs, backgrounds, and identities differ. We must ask ourselves, how can students feel safe in a learning environment expressing themselves when how can students feel safe learning and expressing themselves when those who are supposed to guide them model vile behavior such as celebrating murder? How do we explain to a child that compassion matters when they see cruelty being cheered openly by authority figures? This is a moral issue. Teachers should be role models, not provocateurs of hate. And when they choose to spew hatred publicly, they fracture the bond between the educator, the student, the schools, and the communities. Teachers must represent the Clark County School District brand appropriately. And so I ask you, history must not be remembered for us by what we said. We will be remembered for what we tolerated. Let it not be said that Clark County tolerated the celebration of an assassination. Let it be said that we stood firm for dignity, respect.
Thank you, Ms. Jill. I appreciate you. You're free to leave your public comments with, your written comments with Ms. Caitlin if you want it in the public record. After you, Ms. Norma Paul, and the last name is Hoack. Okay. See that? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tanya Atterbury, are you still on the? Okay, there you go. Ms. Norma, please proceed.
I'm here to talk about the evil people celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk that work for CCSD. How evil do you have to be to celebrate death? And not just death, and assassination, the assassination of a human being, a husband, a mentor, a father with two small children, babies. These people and the people who support them are anti-human, hate-driven, and it's shameful. Our children deserve better. We already have so much violence in CCSD. We don't need teachers or anyone at CCSD spewing hate. This is not free speech. It's substantially disruptive school operations. That's a Supreme Court evidence and Code of Ethics Regulation R 3100 for CCSD, also NRS 281A Ethics and Government, also NRS 391 Immoral and Unprofessional Conduct for celebrating political violence. As a citizen and taxpayer of this community, I want these people to be held accountable. I want to see them never teaching or around our kids ever again. They must be held accountable. And as for free speech, I am for free speech. Free speech is speech you hate, not speech you love. But this is different. This is celebrating death. This speech is immoral, evil, anti-human, anti-God. Our community needs to pray for these people, for CCSD, and most of all, the children of our community. We always pray for unity. This should have brought us all together. But the radicals didn't want this. How do we accept people that pray for our death?
Thank you. And Ms. Norma, can you just say your name for the record, your full name? Thank you.
Yes, my name is Norma Skurlock.
Thank you so much. After you, Ms. Tanya Stephanie Kinsley. Please proceed, Tanya.
Tanya Atterbury for the record. First of all, I am a woman of faith. Label me Christian, label me Baptist. I am a woman of faith first. Freedom of speech is a fundamental right. When a complaint was filed against me, my principal said the same thing. I do have my First Amendment right. After the review process, my complaint was dismissed because I focus on policies and procedures, not character assassinations. I was targeted because I used the word indoctrination. But my point was, I don't force my political ideology, sex life, or religion on my students. Fringe groups get attention because they are the loudest. Feuds never gain any ground on resolutions. Educators' free speech celebrating the killing of any person is disturbing. Parents need to be the driving force behind those consequences. As for Charlie Kirk, if he were in this room, to his haters and celebrators of death, he would hand them the microphone. He often asked, "Prove me wrong," which promoted civil discourse. He invited challenges to his views. For that, we watched his public execution. I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. A faith that is alive, a faith that multiplies, a faith that inspires millions to stand with courage. Charlie Kirk. I am just as guilty of keeping my head down, compromising, but today can be a turning point in CCSD. Be examples for our most precious audience, the kids. How we resolve differences trickles down through generations. Words and actions do matter. And that's what we are seeing in this board is the expression of our fundamental right to speak, but also understand there are consequences to those freedoms.
Thank you, Ms. Atterbury. After you, Ms. Kinsley, David Gomez. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Kinsley. I'm here from My Children's Advocate. So anything you think the other board member posted about the teachers, it was me. I came here to speak out about the disgusting outrage that I have against this school system. There's obviously an epidemic of violence in CCSD. You can see the teachers here who are so full of hate and ignorance. They focus more on equity than meritocracy because they think kids only know how to fail based off their race. They think Charlie Kirk was hateful and racist. It shows you how ignorant they are to any. They've never read Thomas Sowell, who says the same thing. these teachers are not educated, they're not informed. I really feel that there's an intentional attack on our kids through the schools. I feel that you can't be this wrong on accident. So from Common Core to the masks to the vax, the same teachers who are fighting for this teacher to keep his job were happy to let everyone else get fired when they wouldn't take a vaccine. So let's just really see who we're dealing with. We're not dealing with people who use science and logic. We have people who hate the truth. They reject the truth. And these are hateful people who get violent when they hear the truth. And that's why they glorify the killing of Charlie Kirk. And parents don't want these people, the same people who groom kids, they're violent, their union dues pay for abortion. We don't want them around children. We don't want them around our children. Fear from us if I may come in and squirt them with some holy water.
Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second, Ms. Kinsley. I want to give you the respect to hear you. I'm asking the audience to be respectful for the difference of opinion.
Can you turn on the
Letter. Letter. It's our business meeting. Stephanie, address the room. Keep going. Stay focused right here, right here. Okay. So remember, respect difference of opinion. So Ms. Kinsley, hold on for a second. I want you to proceed because we want to hear you.
Okay, so these teachers are ignorant, they're racist, they fund murder with abortion and through their union dues. So these are not people that should be trusted around children.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gomez, and then Monica Higgins. Monica, are you in the room? Oh, wonderful. Mr. Gomez, please proceed.
David Gomez for the record, Nevada Peace Alliance president. What I hold in my hand is the Bible, the Holy Bible, King James Bible. But if we were to go back the day when we were looking for a superintendent and someone put on a KKK uniform all over their platform and wanted to be the superintendent of our school district, would anybody in this room agree with that person? Regardless of where it's at? I don't think so. But to all my Christians that think they're Christians that stand in the garage and say, I'm gonna become a Catholic. I want to tell you something. If you don't know where we are, you're fooling yourself. You are fooling yourself. We are in the last days. Look around. Look at who you're looking at. We're looking at an evil that did not exist before. But yet we say in God, we trust on our money. We use it all. All of us do. In God we trust. One nation under God. We use God to our convenience, but we forget it. They know that, regardless of where they stand. But we have a right to agree to disagree. But we help as a clan. But am I supposed to let them slide with the problems that they created? No, I do not. That does not mean I do not love that person. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Monica, after you, Leslie, I think it's Q-U Quinn. Sorry. Miss Monica, just state your name for the record and proceed.
Hi there, my name is Monica Higgins. I'm a lifelong resident here, born and raised third generation. Every single person who has a paycheck that is funded by a taxpayer of the United States of America signs a code of conduct, ethics, employment. Sorry, I wrote it down, but you know what I'm talking about. It includes every single one of you, but if you're paid for this position, that includes the street sweeper and everyone else in between. I find it absolutely abhorrent that these people seem to think that a social media post, when you are in a position of power, and either by election or teaching young people, young impressionable minds, that you post whatever you want. But when you are putting your name and face out there and you are a teacher, especially, or an administrator or any other employee of this school district, this is unacceptable. There is no suspension. That is not going to cut it. And if you people aren't going to stand up and do it, wait till you see the thousands upon thousands of people who will picket these schools every single day until every one of these people are fired. Nothing less will matter. These are the future indoctrinators of next year's Trantifa or Antifa, whatever you want to call it. It's a destruction of what this country was founded upon. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you do. Freedom of speech is a right. But you know what else is a right? Having monsters removed from our society and the important position of influencing the next generation of voters, of people, of members of society as a whole. You cannot call people Nazis and this, that, and the other, and Hitler every single friggin' day and think there's not going to be consequences. There's already one man who's got murdered in public for his right to speak. How many of you are talking about Jimmy Kimmel?
Thank you so much. Leslie, after you, Grace Trujillo? Grace Trujillo, are you in the audience? Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Ms. Quinn, just say your name for the record and please proceed.
Okay, Leslie Quinn, good evening, everyone. We live in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. We are a constitutional republic, the land of the free because of the brave. Educating children should not be about political propaganda. We are in a place in U.S. history where the First Amendment has been diminished to such a disturbing, twisted level with no concern for the unintended consequences. None of us should tolerate insults towards life and humanity. That is equivalent to a predator, and as evidenced on the social media in recent weeks of the several CCSD staff. Having a job working with children comes with responsibility. Abusing public trust must not be tolerated. NRS 281A describes the abuse of public trust. The policy outlines that a public office is a public trust that must be held for the benefit of the people. Disparaging remarks that demonstrate a failure to uphold this trust could be subject to disciplinary action. NAC 284.650 describes the causes for disciplinary action, which may include related inappropriate or for abusive, include conduct that is inappropriate. Why are the written standards and rules and policies of employee conduct not being followed? I don't understand that. We are not in the Lord of the Flies island. The hate being expressed is extremely concerning and must not be tolerated any longer. We all bleed the same color and should not forget we live on the same planet. Our children deserve better. Thank you for removing teachers or any staff that glorify murder and school shooters. Thank you to the 2 CCSD trustees for standing up and being a shield for our children. You are the storm of truth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, and thank you, Mr. Gomez. You let us know that somebody lost their wallet. So check your personal belongings.
It has been turned into security in the front. It was a wallet. So if you lost a wallet, please go to security outside. Thank you.
Thank you so much. After Ms. Trujillo, Elizabeth, and it's DELOTE. Are you here? Okay. Ms. Trujillo, please proceed.
Hello, is it on? Hi, my name is Grace Trujillo. Thank you, board members. You guys represent what we are CCSD is. All diverse and you are not excluding anyone. And if you are a teacher and you just speak for one side, you are actually abandoning your role because you're excluding other students. Friends, free speech is vital to our schools' mission of inspiring and connecting students. But there's a line when educators celebrate violence, such as expressing joy over a Christian's death, like some did after Charlie Kirk's assassination. They betray that mission. Such attitude creates toxic environment, making Christian students and staff feel targeted and unsafe. Remember the Supreme Court's ruling in Tinker versus Demois. Students' expression is protected, but schools can limit disruptive speech. In Pickering versus Board of Education, balance is key. Nothing new under the sun. It happened before. Teachers have the right to speak, but that cannot come at the expense of school harmony or trust. Celebrating violence isn't free speech. It's a threat to our community, fueling intolerance district-wide. Imagine a student overhearing their teacher cheer for harm against their faith. That moment of fear shatters their sense of belonging. We are CCSD. Our school must be a place of respect, not hatred. We must defend free speech, but also hold teachers accountable to model respect and reject words that threaten others. Let's unite for schools where every voice matters and every student feels safe. Let's promote healthy debate, no hate, no violence. We are CCSD.
Thank you so much. Elizabeth, or no, I'm not saying it right. Elishe. I don't think you're gonna correct me.
Elishaba.
Elishaba. Okay, after you, it's Bianca. Are you still in the room? Okay, you are. Wonderful. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Elishaba Delote, and I'm just here speaking as a faithful woman and a woman of faith. And I'm just gonna speak what would God do and speak at this moment, because in the light of the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, I strongly condemn educators who have callously celebrated or dismissed his death through inflammatory social media posts and comments. Such reckless words are as warned in Proverbs 12:18. There is one who speaks rashly like a piercing sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Wound rather than heal, tainting the principle of free speech with harmful rhetoric. Violence suppresses speech, but debate fosters understanding and growth. These actions undermine the dignity of human life and erode the trust placed in those shaping young minds. As Matthew 12:37 reminds us, for by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. So I leave you this in Proverbs 10, the wise store up knowledge, but the mouth of the fool hasten destruction. Please.
Thank you so much. Miss Bianca, and then after you, Christina Hernandez. Are you still in the room, Christina? Miss Bianca, please proceed.
Okay. We want teachers who are able to teach with compassion and professionalism. These publicly posted comments demonstrate their inability to do either. With failing math and reading levels, an inability to keep our children safe from bullying to the point of on-campus harm and even murder, an inability to support and protect our teachers from harm so that they may teach in a safe and civil environment, and an inability to keep plumbing and AC working in schools. As board members, the very least you can do is ensure that we have teachers who are capable of caring for our children with compassion and professionalism. An adult who lacks the good judgment and restraint required to abstain from posting hateful comments about a husband, father, and fellow American is not someone that we can trust with our children. Whether CCSD members like it or not, Nevada is split. There are children whose parents fall on all sides of the political aisle. Therefore, CCSD professionals must be able to respect all sides of the public. I am not suggesting that individuals are not allowed their own opinions or to privately express their hate-filled thoughts and hearts. What I am suggesting is that your job is to ensure that anyone entrusted with the care of Nevada's children must be held to a professional standard. Would you expect that someone who makes the comments that I'm not going to repeat them again, but the comments that we've heard repeatedly, would you expect someone who makes those comments to be capable of a compassionate and professional attitude towards children who they know come from parents who disagree with them? Board, please be honest with yourself and with us. We know with 100% certainty that if a Black public figure had been murdered or an LGBT public figure had been murdered and there were teachers who made the same comments about that figure, none of us would need to be here pleading with you to perform your roles from an unbiased perspective. We know with 100% certainty that you would have terminated these individuals immediately and without public input. Those of you who are reluctant to act, please be honest with yourselves and admit that. And please conduct yourselves as though you represent all of Clark County School District and not just those with whom you share political beliefs, because I'm here to remind you that that is what you swore to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bianca. And then we have Christina, and then our last person, Kyla. Kyla, are you still? And that's Kayla, Maese. Are you still in the room? No? Okay, Miss Christina, you are our last person.
Okay, good evening, trustees. For the record, my name is Christina Hernandez, and I have 2 children in your district, as well as I'm a product of your district. I'm here today to speak out against the silencing of current teachers who have been reassigned based on their private comments made regarding the killing of Charlie Kirk. I understand the times we're currently living through, as well as you understand that time. I understand that there are voices louder than ours that are currently having their moment. With that knowledge, I ask you to consider what your role is and how you will uphold these teachers' rights. Or will you silence them and make an example that teachers in our districts do not have the right to freedom of speech? I recall when Turning Point USA came onto my campus with a fake border wall and antagonized our students, our staff, and our faculty, telling us to go back to where we came from. They were able to share their xenophobic views on our campus because it was their right to do so. And while it was hateful and hurtful to many of us, it was their right. So I ask you today to not silence these teachers, to provide them the same right that Charlie Kirk and his followers had and have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That ends our public comments, 5.01. We're going to go ahead and move to 6.01, our upcoming meeting of Board of Trustees. The next one will be Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 at 4 p.m. in this boardroom. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting. Trustee Cavazos.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Barron.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Please cast your vote. With that.